Travolting presents Bobbin for Robin. Hosted by Jeff Sweeney and Stuart Elmore. Covering Dead Again with special guest Cole Bradley. What's up?
I had something and I just lost it.
Well, Stuart, can I say something actually really quick?
Please.
I think you need to take that again.
Well, why?
Because I think you said the title with like 20% too much energy. I don't think you're meeting this movie at its level.
You mean too much energy
if you're going
for
Dead Again?
You mean too much energy for what this movie gives?
Yes.
Okay. Well, listen. People sign up to get the Travolting experience.
The Travolting experience.
I don't think they signed up to get the Dead Again experience.
I signed up for the Dead Again experience.
You did sign up for the Dead Again experience, and we're going to give you the Dead Again experience. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, to the listener home, the Dead Again experience is, of course, a very fictitious story about Kenneth Branaghs having relationship troubles with Emma Thompson. A thing that is entirely fictitious and has no factual bearing.
Yes.
Is not at all interesting on an extreme level about.
Welcome back to Travolting Presents Bobbin for Robin. Thank you for joining us this week for our episode on Dead Again, 1991, directed by Kenneth Branagh, written by Scott Frank, starring Kenneth Branagh and Emma Thompson.
I had the same reaction when I saw Scott Frank in the opening titles. That's where I'm like, oh, we're in.
I knew that because I always think of Scott Frank as the guy who wrote Dead Again, even though that's not his like breakthrough screenplay.
Yeah, because like I'm trying to figure out what thing I want to say first because there's so many things to say at the start of this.
Yeah.
I will start by saying my one sentence review of this movie is oceans of time and rivers of ham. The second thing I want to say is when Scott Frank pops up in the opening titles of this movie, I did a cartwheel over my couch and crashed into the Billy bookshelves I just built.
Very good.
It's a very Scott Frank screenplay in that it kind of rocks and is also the dumbest shit you've ever encountered in your life.
It's like kind of crazy to say it, but it's kind of like dumb Shane Black in a way is like kind of his vibe.
I don't think that's his vibe.
They're both operating in like this kind of pulpy space, kind of pulling from noir.
But Scott Frank has this like genre fetishism to him, right? That I think is really visible. I don't know if either of you've seen the two movies he directed.
No. Oh, he did The Walk Among the Tombstones. I have seen A Walk Among the Tombstones.
He is weirdly a better director than he is a screenwriter. He's kind of a fantastic director. But like Minority Report is so fetishistic, Out of Sight is so fetishistic, Get Shorty is so fetishistic. Those dog shit Mangold movies are like jacking themselves off with like, have you heard of Shane? Have you heard of Shane? I've seen Shane. I know what Shane is.
That is the weird part of Logan where like it does stop dead in his tracks for Patrick Stewart to be like, have you seen this movie, Shane? It's pretty good.
We can all agree with the hindsight of 8 years. Logan is like poop in a diaper.
I still like Logan. Logan's still pretty good.
Horrible.
Logan's still pretty good.
Amazing.
I'm
sorry you're upset.
That's a movie for 12-year-olds.
I'm really sorry you're upset.
Logan is still pretty good.
Logan, a very good movie written by screenplay by Scott Frank and James Mangold. Also a good movie by James Mangold, The Wolverine. Fight me on that. I think
that one's also bad, but it's just boring. It's not awful.
No, the Wolverine has the problem that it's like pretty. It's like actually quite good.
Yeah.
Until it gets to the third act and a big robot appears.
Yes, but I like the big robot.
I'm not even opposed to the concept. Wait, I wanted to say as a film viewer, I'm never opposed to the concept of big robot. I think a big robot is usually a plus for your movie. The problem is when your whole pitch of your movie is, here's how grounded and real we are. Anyway, big robot. I think Logan falls into the same trap as well, where it's like, look at how grounded and real we are. And then it ends with, hey, look, clone.
You know what my problem with both those movies is, besides the fact that they're directed by James Mangold, so the ceiling is pretty low, is Jeff, what you just said, that like the pitch is like, look how grounded and realistic we are. These are X-Men movies. These are movies about the immortal Canadian ninja.
Okay, we're gonna do a little sidebar right now because it just came up naturally.
Oh, Scott Frank also wrote Get Shorty.
He did write Get Shorty.
Good.
That was his big comeback. He was kind of floundering for a bit, and then he writes Get Shorty, and I think that really locks him into being a guy who does a lot of rewrites, let's say.
Yeah.
I think more so than produce screenplays.
It's the Get Shorty, Out of Sight, Minority Report, like kind of. I mean, that's like a 7-year run, but that's kind of like his.
Oh, he wrote Marley and Me.
He did weirdly write Marley and Me.
Him writing Marley and Me is like a fucking Robert Towne is the credited screenwriter on Mission Impossible 2 situation.
Yeah.
Where it's like, at some point, they just felt like they needed to give him residuals.
Yes. Where it's like,
I have to assume that's the situation with Marley and Me.
but the thing about the thing we have to talk about, and I think we'll all be in agreement on this, is we have to stop saying goodbye to the Fox X-Men characters. I am sick of this shit.
Are you you're referring to Deadpool Wolverine?
I'm referring to 2014 X-Men Days of Future Past, which ends with like, the timeline has been reset. This story is done. We will continue with the younger versions. And then 3 years later, Logan, which ends with Patrick Stewart being buried in an unmarked grave, and then Wolverine being buried in the woods. And it's like, we have said goodbye to these characters. And then
that's not even it.
And then I'm talking about 2 years later when they do Dark Phoenix, which like just kind of ends with like a weird, let's play chess in Paris in a clearly not reshot scene.
What a picture.
So that we can say goodbye with the chess game that we've been playing this whole series. And it's like, okay, we're done with it. And then 5 years later, 3 years later, they're like, oh, look, Professor X is rolling into the Doctor Strange movie.
Yep.
But this is all a joke because Sam Raimi wants to just kill him off again because it's funny. And you're like, okay, that's acceptable. But then you're like, oh, no, and 2 years later, oh, my God, we're doing Deadpool and Wolverine. And it ends with like this incredible montage that has to cut around Bryan Singer in so many BTS videos because they can't show him in the end credits of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Good.
And where Ryan Reynolds is like, thank you for letting us be weird. And I'm like, these movies weren't that weird. Let's relax a little bit here.
But Jeff,
And then
Jeff.
they do this fucking like they're like, look at all these chairs. Look at them.
Jeff.
We're gonna just keep scrolling through the fucking chairs. And you know what names they're gonna see? Kelsey Grammer.
But Jeff, you're forgetting the weirdest part of this all.
Yes.
Is that Days of Future Past comes 8 years after X-Men: The Last Stand,
Yes.
which already says goodbye to the
I am so sick of saying goodbye.
Wait, I earnestly think there might be more movies that are the end of the Fox X-Men than there are movies that are not the end of the Fox. Like we're approaching fucking the tipping point there.
Like
which is also crazy because there were 2, maybe 3 good Fox X-Men movies. I'll say 3.
Wait, we can't just let him say that and not mention
what are the good ones. Cole, what are the good ones?
X-Men X2 Days of Future Past.
Not even First Class. I mean, I don't even think
First Class is bad.
First Class is like,
when was the last time you watched First Class?
First Class the more it ages, the less it holds up, but I still think it's pretty good.
I think First Class
Stuart,
is decent.
I'm telling you this. You don't like First Class.
No, I do.
You like the McAvoy performance, the Fassbender performance, and the Bacon performance. You're forgetting the rest of the movie.
That is the movie, Cole.
No, it's not the movie.
just
the
listed
movie
that
is
movie
Caleb
does have
Landry Jones running around.
That movie does have one of the most questionable cuts ever in it,
Which is?
and we all know what it is.
What?
It's when Kevin Bacon is giving the speech to all the young X-Men. And he's just like, do you all want to be slaves? And it cuts to the one black guy in the movie.
Do you remember the performance January Jones gives as Emma Frost in that movie?
Well, she's very frosty.
That movie's not good. The other thing is that Matthew Vaughn is not a real director.
This I agree. The good X-Men movies are X-Men, X2,
Which,
Days of Future Past, The Wolverine,
correct.
Logan.
No.
Those are the good
Oh,
ones.
shit.
Those are the good ones.
What the fuck?
You know, my favorite thing about the people, like, I am one of those people, by the way, but the people who talk about the Wolverine and Logan, and they always reference that scene where I can't remember her character's name, but she tells him, it's like, I saw your death. You were holding your heart in your own hand. And what the movie at that time is trying to say is when he like has to like cut into his own heart to grab the robot that's like deactivating his healing power. Everybody knows what I'm talking about in the Wolverine, right?
Yeah.
But then what people do is they then cut to Logan when he's on the log where he gets like impaled in half.
Yeah.
And he's holding X-23. And that's like the reference of his death.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is so sweet. That is so loving. That is so caring. They did not have that in mind. Like they were not writing.
Yeah, they didn't plan.
They didn't plan for that. But I think it is such a happy
I do think
accident.
that Cole, as he just texted me, I think Zoom crashed. So I do think we've lost him
I think we lost him too.
because there is like this kind of haunting image of him just frozen on the screen.
Let's end it.
Wait, don't end the meeting.
Why not? Why
He's
not?
going to try and rejoin.
Oh, he's going to try to rejoin.
I'm gonna, let's kick him out.
What?
Both of the listener at home is loving this.
He says he's still in.
I'm going to kick him out of it.
Okay.
Remove.
You think that's what God does? He just
Don't report.
he just like removes people from the Zoom call of life.
Yeah.
Should we record this video?
Yeah. No, we should keep this going.
No, I'm saying, well, should we record this video of us on Zoom? The audience has never, not to this.
Oh my god! What do you want me to do? Record it to the cloud?
Why not?
Okay, I'll record it to the cloud.
Recording in progress.
The listener at home is so excited about the quality of this.
This is going to be our first video podcast, and it's on a fucking webcam from my MacBook Pro. How we do it on Getting Cole?
We're working on getting him back.
All right.
But really quick, when he comes back, we'll segue out of the X-Men talk. But
what if he comes back and we just pretend like we've settled the debate?
No, what if when he comes back and we're still talking about X-Men?
Oh, we're still talking about X-Men? But the Wolverine and Logan, good movies.
We're done. I'm done talking about the Wolverine and Logan. The thing I just want to talk about now is that like I was after Deadpool Wolverine, a movie I don't like. To be
I know
clear,
you don't like. It's sad.
That I strongly dislike.
You do strongly dislike. You called me a baby for thinking
I did call you a baby, didn't I?
You
that
did.
Was a little good, right?
It was a little harsh.
You gotta admit it was a little good though.
I think it's like people who don't like Deadpool Wolverine just don't like fun.
No, I just the thing.
Do I think it's like a profound piece of literature?
The thing is,
no.
I like movies that are good, and I don't like Sean Levy movies, and we're gonna have to talk about 3 of them on this show.
We are. I'm talking about 3
anyway.
Sean Levy movies on this show.
Anyway, the last thing I want to say is that I was like, at least at the end of that movie, I'm like, all right,
It's over.
we're done.
We're done.
With the Fox X-Men. Like, we kind of said goodbye. They'll probably bring Hugh Jackman back and Ryan Reynolds back. And then they announced, like, they're all coming back for the new Avengers movie. Avengers Doomsday. And then this, like, picture of Ian McKellen on set in the full Magneto garb comes out. My favorite superhero performance in a, like, supervillain performance, to be clear, is I like Ian McKellen's Magneto. And I watch, and I'm like, just let it end.
Yeah.
I'm begging you.
Ian McKellen coming back and Patrick Stewart coming back. It's like
They'll probably be good in it. The movie's probably gonna suck, but they'll be good in it.
well, like,
right?
Do we know Avengers Doomsday? Is that actually a movie that's being made?
It is a
'Cause
movie.
I
It is
think
in production.
I think it is a big giant Disney laundering money scheme.
Look at this. Look at this picture.
That's so cool. That is so cool. But who's the number one on the call sheet for this movie?
Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom.
Fuck me. Fuck me.
But who is like the?
Need to buy Susan another ranch.
He does have to buy another ranch, I guess.
How's this going? Have we gotten our man?
We have not gotten our man back.
Cole. If I shout at him long enough, he might.
He'll appear.
He'll appear.
We might have to do some trimming because I do think we're kind of just like we're past the point of the listener at home being
it's so
interested.
funny because he was like, so we're gonna do 4 hours, right? And we're like, no,
we do
have
14 minutes.
We have a conflict, and we need to be on the road by what time is it now? It's like almost noon. We got to be on the road by like 2:15, 2 o'clock. What's going on, bud? What's the problem?
I got a solution. Okay, this is when we should actually trim the episode.
You want me to stop?
Yeah, let's stop.
Pause. And we're back. We got Cole back, everybody.
You know what, Stuart? I do believe you think that.
Damn.
That feels in line with everything I know about you.
Oh my God. The heat.
Yeah.
So
Wait, that was off mic, right?
No, that was on mic.
Oh, okay.
Cole, I will tell you that there was about 4 more minutes of me yelling about X-Men that you weren't present for. But we're done. But we are officially moving away from X-Men because I'm sick of it. I love the X-Men.
Can I just say
they're so
one
important to me.
thing?
I'm sick of it.
Can
They
I
need
just
to
say
be dead
one thing?
again, like the title of this movie.
And then we'll
good
talk
segue.
about that again.
Yes.
I think it would be fine if there were no more superhero movies.
Agreed. I think Cole, that is such a vanilla toast take. Like, I think everyone and their mother would agree with that sentiment, even
Including the ones you guys want to see. Like, including the finished ones, I think they should be Zasleved.
Yeah,
I don't think Fantastic Four should come out.
I think they should get rid of all of them, except they should release Batgirl so that we can actually do an episode on it. But
Did you guys see that Fantastic Four trailer?
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks... Why is it so dour?
It's very sad.
Why?
He stretches once in slow-mo.
Why does her hair look like that? Why does his hair look like that? Why do none of them have period-appropriate hair?
The whole pitch is like, what if this was the 60s except for the hairstyles? Like, why do
everything
the
about Johnny
effort
Storm.
for everything else?
Everything
we
about
cannot
Johnny
talk about
Storm.
Fantastic Four. Oh, you cannot talk about Fantastic Four. We spent too much time talking about X-Men. I can't move.
What if Kenneth Branagh played Mr. Fantastic
here's the
in
thing.
1997?
If Kenneth Branaghs played Mr. Fantastic, it'd be good as hell.
Would be good.
Okay, I can get us back. Superhero movies: Thor, Kenneth Branagh, River of Ham, Hammy, Dead Again. We're back. Okay. So the thing
I do need to clarify that River of Ham is not his phrase.
it's not his phrase, but he gets the
He gets the credit for it, but it's not his expression. It's Ray Winston's expression.
But yes, but however, I will say, if you're talking about Rivers of Ham, this movie is fucking like flooded.
Yeah,
It's overflowing.
it is overflowing.
When Wayne Knight comes in,
Oh my God!
okay, Wayne Knight corner. So the thing about
Wait, Jeff,
Yes.
Jeff. Are you saying it's Night Court?
yeah, it's Night Court. We're talking
Night
about Wayne,
Court.
we're actually talking about Wayne Knight today.
Oh no!
So no, the thing about Wayne Knight.
How deep into this podcast do you go until you just do Wayne Knight?
So, no, this is the beginning of the Wayne Knight-assance. I'm so dead serious.
It's not a science. He wasn't famous. Jeff,
No.
do you know what Wayne Knight has in the can right now?
What's he got in the can? Five Nights at Freddy's
Obviously,
2.
he was just in The Day the Earth Blew Up.
I see Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
He's in Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
That's gonna be good. That's gonna be the
No,
Wayne
it's not going to
Knight-assance.
be good because it's Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
That's the Wayne Knight-assance is coming after Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Okay, so Stuart, this is like where Wayne Knight's running the table. Is this like specific period of time?
Yes.
Because it's this. The run is this: JFK, Basic Instinct, Jurassic Park, while starting Seinfeld in the middle of all this.
He's hitting it home.
Like that. That's a good run right there.
I can't believe I have to go all the way to work.
No, that's Toy Story 2. That's when he's in a fallow period. that's a fall from grace.
Is that when he's in a fallow period?
Tantor, Tarzan, and
Look, when you're
Orpheus and
you're
Hercules.
Played
Zero
Microchip
to-
in Warzone?
he did play Microchip and Punisher.
Crazy.
That specific area where he's like 3 movie run is Tarzan, Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command.
Demetrius the pot maker and Hercules.
Buzz Lightyear Star Command is better than 85% of Pixar theatrical release films.
Of the modern ones, I would agree. It's better than it's better than the big production Lightyear.
I would simply not know that because that is simply none of my business.
Did you watch Lightyear?
No.
Okay, Cole, did you watch Lightyear?
Why was I watching Lightyear?
Okay, I did watch Lightyear.
Of course you watched Lightyear.
Do you guys know what the reveal at the end of that movie is?
That Zurg is like alternate dimension future Buzz or something.
Yeah, Stuart, did you know this?
No.
Okay, so
it sucks.
So Lightyear is a movie where you're like, that is such an easy layup. You just make a retro sci-fi animated. You make a retro sci-fi animated movie about Buzz Lightyear.
Okay.
Such an easy layup, right?
Yeah.
That's not what that movie is about. Okay. That movie is like an Ad Astra riff.
Oh.
Where it's like Buzz gets stuck on a random planet in the far future. And he finds out that there's a robot army led by a villain named Zurg.
Okay.
And so he infiltrates and discovers that Zurg is in fact him from the future.
Oh.
Played by James Brolin.
Oh.
In a big Zurg suit.
Okay.
But the end of the movie is just Buzz fighting himself on a ship. It's very dour. It's very like
a metaphor, man.
It's very like sad. It's very bad.
Damn.
But anyway, Wayne Knight. So he's
society would be so much better if Toy Story was never made.
Society would be so much better.
What?
Society would be so much better if Wayne Knight is in every movie.
One of the more ruinous movies in American film history is Toy Story. Just set everything on the wrong path.
That's Mad Max Fury Road. That's bait.
It's not bait. It's
not
true.
Going to engage.
Okay.
It destroyed the culture. It destroyed animation. It gave money to Steve Jobs.
I'm not engaging.
It's intrinsic to Disney hegemonic supremacy. Tim Allen.
None of this is a reason why they're bad movies. I understand why you don't like them.
No. It's not ruinous because they're bad movies. Them being bad movies is mostly incidental. They could be good movies and still have like a nightmarish effect on American culture. The thing about them being bad movies is that they babyfied like 2 generations of adults who can't handle. People use AI because Toy Story taught them that they are permanent children.
I'm not engaging. None of
He's
that.
Baiting you, Stuart. He's baiting you.
Nothing that you said though is actually like. Why is the movie bad though? Like,
well, it looks like ass. First of all.
Okay, you make one.
It looks like a big old.
You make a Toy Story movie better in 1992 or 5. Whatever.
I simply wouldn't because sometimes you don't. They were so.
I'm taking the bait. I'm taking the bait.
They were so certain that they could that they didn't think if they should, or whatever he fucking says in Jurassic Park.
Wayne Knight doesn't say that.
I know Jeff Goldblum says that.
What if Wayne Knight played Ian Malcolm?
That'd be great. Wayne Knight's so good in Jurassic Park, though.
Wayne Knight.
Let's go faster.
Hey,
Wayne Knight. Top 4 performance in Jurassic Park.
I would agree with that. The best.
I just don't think we'd agree on the other 3. But
what if I was just like best performances in Jurassic Park? B.D. Wong.
So good. In
Guy who played. He is good. Guy who plays
really
the bad guy at the restaurant.
The pedophile.
Yes, that guy. Guy on phone with Nedry at the dock. And then the T-Rex.
No promises.
I mean, I earnestly think
Captain says we gotta go. We gotta go.
Unranked, but it's some lineup of Sam Neill, Richard Attenborough, Wayne Knight, and Samuel L. Jackson, right?
Yeah.
The
Laura Dern. But
when she back.
She's good. She's better in Wild at Heart.
She has more to do in Wild at Heart.
Yeah, she just doesn't have anything to do in Jurassic Park.
The best scene in Jurassic Park is Attenborough with the ice cream.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the Wayne Knight of it all is really what I'm trying to get into here.
We simply
4 hours.
have
My
time.
listeners, my record for longest normal episode.
Normal episode. Okay.
As in not multiple recordings you've stitched together, because that's whatever.
Yeah, Gotti and
The
Star
Trek and the
count.
Gotti episodes, those are a different category. But I'm just saying, like a single session. My record was recently broken. And I would be fine with that if it wasn't broken for one of the worst movies you'll ever cover in the history of this show.
You're not
Waste
talking
of
about Dead
effort.
Poets Society. I know you're not
Fuck
talking
that
about
movie.
Dead Poets Society.
Fuck that movie.
Wow.
That movie's terrible.
You don't like Peter Weir.
Why don't you like Dead Poets Society, Cole?
It's evil.
Why? Why is it
It's
evil?
boring.
Why is it evil? Let's start with there.
Because it's
Why
just
is it
like,
evil?
oh, I'm so cool. I'm so smart. Look at me. I'm going to like instill all these values in these boys. I'm giving them a shitty education. Blah. I'm Robert Williams. I'm jacking myself off. It's so boring. It's so boring.
Well,
Good movie.
No,
it's
bad movie. Peter Weir, bad
first
director.
off, I haven't quite heard why it's evil. You've given your own viewpoints on boring.
It's evil because I have to watch it.
Okay.
I just find it's sort of easy delineations in higher ed to
Do
be
I get
so
Angelica in here?
fetishistic and aimed at people who only have a high school education. And it's just part of the destabilization of higher ed in this country. Going back 30 years, it's part and parcel with the rights attacks on higher ed, because it's just painting this shit as like, oh, it's just a froofy little place where we can like hang out and party. And if you don't like that, you're bad. Blah, 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 blah. I do like Robert Sean Leonard. He's really cute in that movie.
He is cute. Isn't he?
He's a little cutie pie.
Should I finish my
Campbell
Wayne-
Scott should be in that movie. You know what movie Campbell Scott is in? It's Dead Again.
Is dead again.
4
But,
hours.
so you're upset that we broke the record on Dead Poets Society.
Yeah, if it was like a good movie, I would be like, sure.
What would be
If it
a
was
good
like,
movie?
if it was like fucking Shakes the Clown, I would be like, go with God. Love that movie. I love that movie.
Shakes the Clown is like
A
impossible
masterpiece.
to deny. The thing about
a
it is
masterpiece.
Bobcat Goldthwait. So the
No
thi-
more Wayne Knight. We got to get to the movie. We got to get to
finish
the
my-
movie.
Wayne
I
Knight.
can't finish my Wayne Knight thoughts.
Let's go to Kenneth Branagh, okay? Kenneth Branagh. Who is he?
So, Jeff, what's your Wayne Knight thought, actually?
My Wayne Knight thought is that he's good as hell. This is such a good run of movies that he's in.
Great.
It's the sweatiest anyone has ever been across a 4-movie run. And I'm including Danny Aiello in Do the Right Thing in this equation. But between Dead Again and Jurassic Park, no one is sweatier than Wayne Knight.
Fucking Basic Instinct.
No,
right
I'm
in the
putting
middle there.
JFK and Basic Instinct in the middle of it. It's a sandwich. They're the meat in the middle. It's the sweatiest anyone's been across a 4-movie run.
He's so good at JFK.
He's
When are
good.
you doing Tommy Lee Jones? Can I have the JFK episode?
Now who we would do someone else in JFK, but I forget who it was.
Would it be Bacon? Would it be Pesci?
What if we do like a podcast called BLT? It's like
Why
It's
are
like-
you doing Robin the Grave? Let's make a BLT.
bacon, lettuce, and tomato. Stuart, which of us is the lettuce and who's the tomato? Anyway, Dead Again, directed by Kenneth Branagh, written by Scott Frank, starring Kenneth Branagh. Kenneth Branagh is like kind of is one of those epitomes of like the where his name pops up multiple times in the credits type guys. But like the kind of farcical version of it.
I am double checking to see if he still holds this I think he still holds this record. It might have been slipped, but he at least at one point held the record for most categories nominated in at the Oscars.
For him specifically, or the movie he's in?
For him specifically, because he had, when Belfast came out, that meant across his career he had been nominated for, personally, picture, director, both acting categories, both screenplay categories, and he has a short film nomination tucked in there too. So he only has the one Oscar, but I think, you know what? I think Cuarón tied him the next year when Cuarón got that short
cinematography
film
nom.
Oscar. No, the short film.
Oh, shot film.
The difference between Kenneth Branagh and Alfonso Cuarón is Kenneth Branagh actually does all the work he's nominated for, whereas Alfonso Cuarón takes credit for other people's work.
So the thing about Kenneth Branagh,
Stuart's already tapped out on me.
No, I'm just doing Kenneth Branagh.
he is actually on Kenneth Branagh's IMDb reading all the trivia right now.
Yeah. I haven't seen Belfast. I should watch it. Looks good.
It's not very good.
Oh.
I watched someone watch Belfast on a plane over their shoulder. That was my experience watching Belfast. I didn't hear any
Did
of
everybody else watch Dead Again on Pluto?
I rented
No,
this
it's on
movie.
Hoopla.
Hoopla.
Okay, this is that shit I'm talking about. No, this is the shit I'm talking about.
What the fuck is Hoopla?
Where it's just like,
Are you guys seriously not Hoopla built?
where it's like, oh, what did you watch Dead Again on? And it's like, oh, I watched on Pluto, and it goes like, oh, it's on Hoopla. Actually, I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about right now? Like,
Wait. Can I seriously evangelize about Hoopla for a second?
yes.
Yeah.
So what is Hoopla?
Hoopla is good Canopy.
So it's like the library one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you have a Chicago Public Library card?
I did. I don't anymore.
Well, renew that shit and then get Hoopla because they have if you can't find something, a lot of times just be like, I wonder if it's on Hoopla. And then it's just there on Hoopla. And I'm like, cool.
Because like obviously we
No
love,
ads.
Obviously we love Tubi in this household. But like when
Tubi's
people
great.
are just hitting me with like Hoopla and Pluto and all this shit, what was that? We had to go download. What was that crazy one I had to download?
Stan.
So I had to download Stan to watch that Australian movie.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds weird. I had to.
They sent me emails afterwards because I had to make an account. Stan was emailing
I had
me.
to, for the
Pay us
first
to
time
fucking-
in years, rent a movie off iTunes recently.
Whoa.
And watch a movie in the iTunes player because it was the most reliable source. And that is like the worst experience of my life. It just kept shifting out of sync.
Oh, no.
Just every like 2 minutes I'd have to pause it because the audio would have
Would
like
get out of sync with the video.
just get out
playing
of
at different
sync.
speeds.
I even think iTunes is still like, they still rent movies.
I remember I got an email
Yeah.
once that's like iTunes is sunsetting, and then it just never went away. It's still there. I don't know what happened. But the thing is, I rented this movie. I paid $3.99 for it, which is a crazy rental price.
For Dead Again.
Was it in SD?
It was in HD, thankfully.
Was it really in HD?
It was like someone did
Fake HD.
someone did a decent enough transfer 15
Yeah,
years ago.
I think we probably watched the same transfer.
But like this is Branagh's second movie. Branagh's
Yes.
second movie.
Yeah.
Which I find so fascinating for him
Mm-hmm.
that he starts with he's obviously a Shakespeare guy.
Yeah.
He'll keep coming back to that well throughout his career.
Yeah.
And he starts with Henry V. And I find it so fun how you would expect after Henry V, which, gets him 2 Oscar nominations for director and actor, that he would, the logical move is follow that up with something in that similar vein.
Richard III.
Richard III, like not even just Shakespeare necessarily, but something of that like kind of
That Shakespearean type.
yeah, that genre, that style.
Yeah.
And I find it really interesting, and it's going to be indicative of so much of the rest of his career, that rather than do that, he swerves into something as like silly and pulpy as this. Because this movie is straight goofy.
Yeah. It is very goofy.
And he fills it with all of his like Shakespearean actor friends, and then Robin Williams for some reason.
Yeah, Robin Williams is in this movie. And not just like a cameo role. He's like in this movie.
I will say,
Doctor
I
Carlisle
don't
Cozy.
know that this is necessarily the logic behind why he did this, but because he makes a couple movies in very quick succession.
Yes.
Right? The year after this, he makes Peter's Friends, which is a like contemporary set comedy with a bunch of his Shakespeare buddies. And then immediately the year after that, he does this big staging of Much Ado About Nothing with a bunch of movie stars in it. He gets to work on both of those movies, which are a package deal, like very shortly after he gets those Oscar nominations. So I wonder if those just took time to like come together and he just wanted to work. I also wonder if he wanted to do something for Emma. Because it's not like she has a great role in a lot of these Shakespeare movies.
Yeah. And like you'd almost think he would do like Macbeth or something if he wanted to give her a role.
I think he wanted to just have a little fun.
But that's why I find so fun is that he just like this, and that's gonna end up being so much of the rest of his career after, you know, the 90s, where he'll just like do some shit like Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a period where he is not developing projects himself.
I mean, he's taking like for hire jobs, but he doesn't seemingly like. Does he have to? He finds something fun in all these movies.
Yeah, but you get paid really well for doing that.
You do get paid really well for that.
Just for someone who almost entirely over the course of his career has not taken jobs per se, that there is a 10-year period where he only does franchise movies. And he's not developing anything for himself.
He does Thor, which is like fine. He does Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, which is not very good. He does Cinderella, which is kind of great.
Masterpiece.
It's kind of incredible.
The live action.
The live action Cinderella is like kind of incredible.
No, I haven't seen it. To be honest,
it rules.
The live action Cinderella is one of like the Disney remakes that's actually good. It's like kind of beautiful.
Sorry, this is is this the 20th live action remake or the 14th?
This is like probably the 4th or the 5th.
Okay. Oh, this is like Disney's like when is this like kind of like their early live action remake period?
This is early. So
okay,
you've got the first wave of Disney live action remakes,
right,
which is
Jungle
Alice
Book.
in Wonderland and Maleficent, which are like explicitly revisionist ones.
Yeah.
Cinderella is the first of what we think of the contemporary Disney remake cycle, where they're trying to more play towards like straight remakes. Though like we talked about, Stuart, when you were on my show for Dumbo.
Yeah.
There are the two styles of Disney live action remakes.
Yes.
They're the ones that are like recreate the original movie as faithfully as possible.
Yeah.
And there are ones that are like what we would normally think of a remake is. And those latter ones are the good ones. And this is that. Like, it doesn't really have the songs. It doesn't really have a lot of the iconography. It's kind of just a Cinderella movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like more...
And it's a really good Cinderella movie.
It's really well made. It has, like, great production value to it. Performances are all winning.
Yeah.
Well directed.
Real quick. Cole, are you still with us?
I can hear you, but I think Zoom just crashed again. But if you can still hear me and I'm still recording, I think I'm just going to let it be frozen.
Let's just turn our videos off.
I can't.
You can't turn your video off.
No.
Okay.
We can still hear you.
We can still hear you, and we're just going to turn the video off just to save the connection, just in case.
It's not a connection thing. It's that the Zoom app on my computer is crashing.
Okay. Got it.
Which is what happened last time. I thought I don't know what's going on with me and Zoom. This has been an issue recently. I thought I had fixed it. But
it's very funny you talking like I don't know what's going on with me. In your frozen face that we see.
Yeah, you guys you're frozen too. But if the audio is still good.
The audio is still good.
I say we just
keep going.
Keep trucking. And if Zoom like actually closes on me, I might need to do what we did earlier. But
yeah. That's fine. We'll have it ready.
I'm just going to not touch it because I'm not recording, so I'm not worried about the sanctity of the recording.
Yeah. Okay. So Cinderella being one of the good ones. I haven't seen it.
But Cinderella's one of the good ones.
Blanchett plays the wicked stepmother.
Yes.
Ooh.
And Blanchett plays the wicked stepmother, and she is weirdly and like brilliantly dressed as like a noir femme fatale in a movie that is otherwise not anachronistic.
And Helena Bonham Carter plays the stepmother.
Ooh.
And she's really good.
She's really good, but it's mostly interesting because of the Branagh of it all.
Yeah. I'm going to step away real quick to get some coffee. You guys keep talking.
Yeah.
So he does Cinderella, and then Stuart, do you know what Kenneth Branagh's last few years have been like?
It's been like the Perot series.
Man, you need
Yeah, because he did. The first one was Murder on the Orient Express.
So the thing that's interesting about those movies is that
they're good.
they're good.
Yeah.
Is the thing. But discounting A Haunting in Venice was the new one. The first two had this like reputation of just like he would cast every famous person at that moment in them.
Yeah.
And then someone would get canceled from the movie. Because the first one comes out immediately after the whole Johnny Depp.
Gal Gadot. Oh, sorry.
The first one comes out immediately after the Johnny Depp stuff.
Okay.
And he's in it. He's the one who gets murdered.
Right. Which is very funny.
And then the second
He's really good at it too.
And then the second one.
Talking about his Perot trilogy.
Yeah, I pieced it together.
And then he does Death on the Nile.
Death on the Nile, which I haven't seen.
Which has an Army Hammer in it, basically immediately after the Army Hammer stuff happens.
Very good.
And then no one from A Haunting in Venice got canceled.
Yet. It's only been 2 years.
No, they should have been canceled immediately before the release of the movie if we were going to continue the trend.
What if it was Michelle Yeoh? What if she was the one to get canceled?
Haunting in Venice rocks.
It's so good. Haunting in Venice is so good.
Though I made the mistake that I took my parents to go see it and they kind of fell asleep in the movie. It is heavy.
It's so loud.
No, it's not loud.
It's so loud.
A very ASMR quiet movie, though.
But shit keeps going bang.
It's like
Yeah, but like the first like half of the movie is just so the experiences have been happening at night.
What's good? There's two things that are good about Haunting in Venice.
Yeah,
and you're gonna like this. The first is that there's actually a ghost in it. Mm-hmm. Because you expect that whole movie is just going to build up to, oh, you see, I figured out how they affect the ghost, which is kind of what happens.
Yeah.
But then there's actually a ghost at the end, which is good. The second thing that's good about A Haunting in Venice is it's playing in the same pulpy territory as Dead Again, a movie that is unafraid of being silly. And we're back to Dead Again.
It's silly.
When are we going to talk about
Artemis Fowl?
Fowl.
We don't have to we don't have to talk about Artemis Fowl. That was so powerful, it kicked him from the podcast.
Wait, oh shit. It actually kicked Cole from...
Yeah, that was so powerful.
What if we did something different than Zoom? I think we can maybe do like Facebook Messenger.
You want to try
it? Does he has Facebook account, right?
He does.
Does he have Facebook Messenger? We could do we could do a video call. I'm gonna pause recording.
So Cole, you had to talk about Artemis Fowl on your show.
In an episode that is famously lost, which is the craziest part, that we watched that whole movie for nothing.
Yeah,
it's famously lost. Tell me that story first.
I've listened to every episode of Cole's show.
Story. There are 4 episodes of my podcast that are lost.
Is there a chance to get them back still?
Maybe, hopefully in September.
Mm-hmm. It'd be funny if you just you should release them as like 1 8-hour chunk. Just like
I can't do that. We've talked about this, Jeff.
You should pay extra.
My episodes have a hard runtime limit of 3 hours and 40 minutes, which has been a problem on several occasions.
Which was a problem when I did a 4-hour episode and they had to release it in 2 parts.
Very good.
It's a 3 hours and 40 minutes at the lowest possible settings is the max my hosting will allow, because I don't pay for hosting.
Do we pay for hosting?
I don't think so. Maybe it might be a yearly subscription.
But anyway, so Artemis Fowl,
insane,
is
an insane movie.
One of his most recent films, because after that he does Belfast, Death in the Nile, and A Haunting in Venice, and then he's in post on something else right now.
Do you guys know who plays the villain in Artemis Fowl?
Did I text it to you in your Instagram DM?
No, she's not the villain.
Oh, okay.
No.
She looks like she could be the villain.
No. The villain is uncredited.
Who?
The actor who plays the villain in Artemis Fowl is uncredited. But you know how IMDb will still list uncredited characters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is
this actor is listed as an uncredited performer on IMDb, but for a second role that they played that was cut out of the movie in the first round of filming before they did the super heavy reshoots.
Who is it?
It's Hong Chow.
Hong Chow's the villain in Artemis Fowl?
Yeah. But
that's
an unrecognizable because it's just a voice.
Ferry in
it's
Ho
Hong
Chi
Chow
Minh
through
City.
a voice modulator.
Ferry in Ho Chi Minh City? That's a crazy credit.
That's the character who was cut out of the movie. But Hong Chow plays a second character who is in the movie, but she's not credited anywhere. You have to like go trawling through like Deadline write-ups to find that like at one point they acknowledged that she was recast to play this character. That movie's insane. That movie is incomprehensible. Colin Farrell seemingly is not aware that he's in that movie. It's insanely racist. It's like aggressively racist. There was like 6 months where you legally couldn't watch it. And then he immediately followed it up with a movie that won him an Oscar.
He had a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah. And then he made A Haunting in Venice.
He did, which I'm going to shake his hand for that one. And then he played, what's his name in Oppenheimer? Who does he play?
He plays He plays Bourne?
Yeah, Bond.
No, he plays. He plays Bond.
Niels Bohr.
He's so good in Oppenheimer. I can't wait to find out what accent he's going to do in the Odyssey. I don't know if he's been announced for the Odyssey, but I know in my heart that
he's going to be in the Odyssey. Let's be clear here.
He's going to be in the fucking Odyssey. Oh, can we do an Odyssey sidebar?
We actually can't.
I don't think we can actually.
We have 2.5 hours, right?
We do. We have an hour and a half.
Yes.
We have an hour and a half.
Yes. What?
Well,
your guys' next thing is at 3, right?
Yes, but we got to leave at 2 because I got to go set up the DM station.
We'll just switch the call to your phone and do it while we're driving.
We'll do it while we're driving. Okay, so Dead Again. 1991. Kenneth Branagh's second film.
Yep. Emma Thompson's third.
Emma Thompson's. It's her third movie?
Ever.
Really?
Yes.
I did not clock that.
Wow.
Unless she has like an uncredited like girl in background in something. I believe Henry V is her first movie. And then she does like a Richard Curtis movie right after that because she comes from the same like scene as Richard Curtis.
Because she and it's her Henry V is her first movie.
First like lead role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she and Branagh meet before Henry V. And then he puts her in that, and he puts her in this, and Cold by Your Hypothesis, he kind of makes this movie around her.
That's my theory.
Which is so interesting, because this movie is so much about like mistrust in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he's filming Frankenstein, cheats on her with Helena Bonham Carter, and it ends their marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I find this is so fascinating, mostly as like an object of, like just like how much of their own feelings are put into this. And it's kind of weird that not this exact situation, but they end up having infidelity in their marriage.
Yeah.
Shortly thereafter this. It's one of those weird instances of a director kind of acknowledging their own proclivities.
You know what's crazier? Also crazy about this?
What?
Do you know what happens the year after this movie comes out?
I do not.
She wins an Oscar.
Oh, shit.
For her fourth movie. She wins the Academy Award for Best Actress. That's how fast it is for Emma Thompson.
What's her next movie?
Howard's End.
Howard's End.
Oh.
Fucking Howard's End.
She's got Howard's End. No, her fourth movie is Impromptu.
Oh, sorry.
Her fifth movie is Howard's End.
And she wins the Academy Award in a shocking upset that no one saw coming.
And then she does 2 more Branaghs. And then they never work together again because he cheats on her.
Yeah. And then she also is in the greatest movie ever made, The Remains of the Day.
I thought you meant Men in Black 3.
Nope.
I thought you meant Primary Colors.
But you did mention Men in Black 3, which means I need to say my piece on Men in Black 3.
Great movie.
She's also in Primary Colors.
Cole, I know exactly what you're going to say about Men in Black 3. I think we've talked about on this show before.
Have I, Stuart? Do you know what my thing about Men in Black 3?
I don't have any strong opinions about Men in Black 3.
No, this is actually like a real thing.
Okay.
Okay.
This haunts me. This has haunted me ever since 2012 when Men in Black 3 comes out.
Uh-huh.
This is my fucking Ryan Gosling Papyrus SNL sketch.
Okay, I'm locked in.
Will Smith does not do the song for Men in Black 3.
Okay,
Pitbull does the song for Men in Black 3.
Yes.
got it.
We all know
Pitbull
this.
does the song Back in Time.
Yes.
Back in Time is heavily built on a sample of Love is Strange by Mickey and Sylvia.
Okay.
Men in Black 3 is set in 1969. Love is Strange is a song from 1956.
Okay.
Love is Strange is best known for its use in Dirty Dancing, a movie from 1988. But Cole, you say, Dirty Dancing is set in the 60s. Dirty Dancing is set in 1963. So at no point is the evocation of the song Love is Strange appropriate to 1969, but it's a Pitbull song, so it's one of those songs that just stops so the sample can play out in full. Make it make sense. It's not like it's not like Will Smith sampling what Stevie Wonder song is it? In Wild Wild West. It's Sir Duke in Wild Wild West, where he's just taking the melody, but he's doing the thing. That song stops to just play Love is Strange. Is the chorus, it's just Love is Strange with an EDM beat under it. So all you're thinking about is Love is Strange. Make it make sense.
I can see it's really tortured you up, Cole.
It drives me crazy.
Oh, man.
Damn, Men in Black 3,
What
now
if there was
there's
a
a picture.
Pitbull song for Dead Again?
What if there was a Pitbull song for Pitbull's too busy working on the score for Gotti 25 years in advance.
Yeah.
What's
too.
Pitbull up to, actually? That's a very earnest question.
What is Pitbull up to?
He should like be in a movie.
He's probably just doing more Travolta videos.
Yeah.
would believe
What's Travolta up to?
Oh, no. We shall not. Robin Williams
Oh,
in
right.
this
You
movie.
wouldn't let me be on High Rollers. I forgot.
Because that movie drove us into a spiral.
I begged.
He begged to come on for High Rollers.
Why did you want to come
I
up
had
for
an-
High Rollers?
I had a no tourist argument to make about it.
Oh, about who's the credited director? I'm not saying who
No,
the
the
real
screenwriter.
director is. Who's the credited name?
No, I had a no tourist argument to make about the screenwriter.
Oh, about the screenwriter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Dead Again.
Anyway, Dead Again.
Dead Again.
Robin Williams is in Dead Again, by
Yes.
the way. That's why we're covering this movie. I just want to make that
This is
clear.
Robin the Grave.
It's
Bobbin'
Bobbin for
for
This is
Robin.
Robin.
America's favorite podcast, Robin the Grave.
Bobbin for Robin, but thank you.
Robin the Grave.
This is an immediate follow up to Shakes the Clown.
Shakes the Clown.
Which he's also like barely just pokes his head in, right?
He's in two
If I
scenes.
remember
There's
correctly.
two quick scenes, yeah.
But it's a similar thing to this, where he's like,
He's got like three
Just
decent scenes in this movie.
yeah,
He's got like three
but
scenes,
he's
but they're
not-
all in the same location.
Yeah, they probably
It's like
filmed
they
it in
probably
one
knocked
day.
this all out in one day. His
Yeah.
whole role. in
He's
this
also
movie.
not credited in the opening credits of this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys popped that.
Yeah. I definitely.
We've
popped that.
talked a lot about how this period of Robin's career is this like kind of back and forth between his serious roles, his comedic roles, and then also just this section of movies where it's people he likes or is friendly with who he's
Yeah.
just doing little bits for. Because we talk about
Do we
portrait.
know
We talk about
how he links up with Branagh?
we don't.
No.
But they work together again.
They do. They
This
do
is
Hamlet.
not it.
Yeah.
They do
Because
Hamlet.
this kind of starts with
I've
like
not seen that.
starting with like Good Morning Vietnam and his first Oscar nomination. Like
Yeah.
after that, he does Baron Munchausen and Portrait of a White Marriage, which are both like pop-ins.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big part of Baron Munchausen, but he does that because he likes.
Well, he's literally big.
Yeah.
He's literally very big.
He's quite sizable.
He's physically large.
Yeah.
But he does that because he likes Terry Gilliam. He likes Monty Python. He wants to work with him. He does Portrait of a White Marriage because Martin Mull is a friend of his. He does the Earth Day special for reasons. He does the little bit in Shakes the Clown because he likes Bobcat Goldthwait. They came up in
He's-
similar circles.
Did you guys ever listen to Harmontown?
No.
To what?
Do you even know what I'm referring to?
Harmontown?
Yeah.
That's the Dan Harmon show, right?
Dan Harmon used to have a podcast that was live. Like they taped it in like the back of a comic book store
Yeah.
in LA. And because it was live, people could kind of just like wander in if they wanted to. And so Bobcat Goldthwait would like show up on that show occasionally. And there's one episode in like 2013, right? So like late, where Bobcat Goldthwait just like stops by the store, realizes they're taping, decides to crash the show, and Robin Williams is with him. So he and Bobcat were just like hanging out on a random like Saturday in LA. So they're friends.
Yeah,
friends.
They met on like, I think Shakes the Clown was because like they were in similar like comedian circles. I think it would be like sometime a little bit after that is when their friendship would really kindle, and then they do what was the next movie that they did together? Father of the Year.
World's Greatest Dad.
World's
Greatest Dad.
We're mixing up Man of the Year and
World's Greatest Dad.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you guys to watch World's Greatest Dad.
Yeah.
You're gonna kill yourself.
I know what that movie is about.
So
you're going to kill yourself, Stuart.
I've heard bits about this movie already, so I have a little bit of understanding of what we're going into.
Listeners, you see Robin Williams' penis in that movie.
Well, we kind of already seen Robin Williams' penis in The Fisher King.
We did.
This is true.
This is true.
This is also true.
So you know, we're already like we're Robin pilled already.
We're at full mast.
Full mast,
as they say.
But they will become friends later on, especially when they do World's Greatest Dad, and then they kind of stick together and remain friends long after that till the end of his.
They probably would have worked together. Williams had.
Oh no.
Did we lose him again?
Poor connection. We'll resume when the connection improves. I think I got good connection. Let me pause it.
Did I freeze or did you freeze?
I think we both, but maybe you. I have pretty good connection. Yeah, I would turn your video off, and I'm gonna.
I'm turning my video off. Anyway, but he does just dive in. I just think it's interesting that maybe he wants to work with Branagh. Maybe he liked Henry V. Like it could just be that.
There's not
really
much. There's not much in his biography as it relates to doing Dead Again. And I don't know much of like in terms of how Robin and Kenneth develop a relationship or lack thereof. But I mean, this does definitely read like he's doing, another filmmaker like a favor, popping into their movies and stuff.
IMDb says that he's not credited in this,
but he is.
For like Mel Brooks Elephant Man reasons, that he didn't want people to think it was a comedy.
Yeah.
I also kind of am wondering if it's an Aladdin situation where he took less money for the smaller role and in exchange couldn't be acknowledged as being in the movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies where they have that like kind of, whether it's apocryphal or true Robin thing, where he's like, I didn't want people to think it was a comedy, so I asked to be uncredited. But then there's there's the flip side, which it sometimes just seems like he just likes doing these small bits for people in movies and doesn't want the movie to be sold on him and just wants to do it for the the sake of the performance.
It's also fun. That like Robin's managers are very, very particular in terms of which movies capitalize on his name and which movies don't. I know they have like a very strong hand in like what movies they think are going to be good for Robin and not. And I don't know this for a fact, but it almost feels like as I've been reading more into his early works and even then later when he gets popular, that like a kind of project like this, like Robin would be like, say if he was like in touch to be like the lead of this movie, I feel like this would be a movie that Robin's managers would be like, no, you're not going to do that. And he's like, but what if I just simply want to? Like no other good reason, just like I would like to do this movie. You're like, no, like this isn't going to do so hot for you based on like your name and your capital.
Do we know what he's making per picture at this point?
Like scale wise, like what?
Yeah, like what's his quote?
Oh, I mean, he's definitely like in the millions per project for sure.
Because this movie only costs $15 million.
Right, but that goes again to like I think that's why he's in so little of the movie as it is, and as like sort of an uncredited role. So he can do these favors to other people. Like Portrait of a White Marriage, that was a movie that looks like it was made on a piece of quarters.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
I don't like that title.
Portrait of a White Marriage.
Don't like it.
Yeah, that movie's
it's not a good title, and it's not a good movie.
Bad
What are we doing?
Who's the one actor in it that's actually kind of funny?
Fred Willard.
Fred Willard's in the movie. And he's actually pretty good.
Harry Shearer?
It's like
I'm sorry, what?
I think he's better in that movie. Fred Willard is better. In that movie.
Fred Willard's the best. Who's in this? Martin Mull, Mary Kay Place, Fred Willard.
Cool. The best way I can describe Portrait of what it's Martin Mull's
Michael
blank
McKean.
check project.
Which
It's
is
Martin
so
Mull's blank check project. Well, you know what?
Calling it a blank check movie.
Good for Martin Mull. You deserve it, buddy.
It's very strange. Anyway,
This is also, I should say, like, because this was filmed in California, this is one of Robin's like first chapters moving back to California, because prior to that he'd been making most, if like his past like 6 or 7 projects had all been filmed predominantly in New York City, starting with like Dead Poets, Cadillac Man, Awakening, Shakes the Clown, Fisher King. Even though Fisher King comes out after this movie, I think Fisher King was probably filmed prior to Dead Again, and just had maybe a little bit of a longer post-production process, because Dead Again and then going into Hook and all these other movies are when he's kind of
he's moving back to LA.
He's going back to like the Hollywood, California mold, whereas prior he was sort of in like, we described it during the Awakenings episode, where it's like New York, it would be, what would you say, Jeff? It's not accurate to call it like the indie film scene, but
he moves to New York and he gets more involved. He does like a lot of smaller character dramas.
Yeah.
And then he moves back to LA and he gets back into like studio system.
Yeah, I mean,
productions.
he's going to be in Hook and then Aladdin, Doubtfire,
Ferngully.
Can I just say something out of love?
Yes.
You guys, if you guys aren't going to be completionists anyway, which you famously aren't, you don't actually have to do a Hook episode. You don't have to do this to yourself. Like, I'm worried for your mental health.
The Hook episode's going to be tough, but we'll talk about it when we get to it.
Hook episode, I think a really good movie.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about Hook.
I can't even.
Stuart,
I can't see Cole because he turned the video off, but I know what face he's making.
Stuart, we're going to talk about it.
Hey, your wife is on that episode.
My wife is on that episode.
Why would you do that to her?
She wanted it. Anyway.
That's grounds for divorce.
Dead Again.
She might divorce him after that episode. That's for sure.
It's going to be a little tough. It's actually not going to be that bad. So Dead Again. So,
Dead Again.
There's really like not a super, like there's not like a plethora of information about like the production of this movie, necessarily, or like the conception of it. But it just seems like Branagh wants to, swerve after Henry V. He puts together a cast, which is a mix of some of his Shakespeare buddies like Derek Jacobi. This is an early Andy Garcia.
Is this pre-screen?
Not that early. He's already gotten an Oscar nomination.
I know this is right after Godfather 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but his breakthrough is Untouchables.
Yeah, it's Untouchables, but like this is still. Every time I look at the poster of The Untouchables, I always forget that Charles Martin Smith is in that movie, and it's unsettling every time.
You forget that Charles Martin Smith is in that movie?
Yeah, well, he's not who I think about when I think about The Untouchables.
He's not who you think about when you think about The Untouchables.
Wait, can I redirect for something? Just because
No.
I have to remind myself every time, like the subject of our podcast. Cole, what's your favorite Robin Williams movie? And don't say Dead Again.
Movie?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Mount Rushmore, Robin Williams, go.
Okay, performances or movies?
Oh.
Let me take a look at the list and see if I'm forgetting anything.
I mean, no, just spitball it, top of your head.
Okay, top of my head, favorite Bob Williams is
Say Bob Williams.
World's Greatest Dad, Baron Munchausen, Insomnia, Old Dogs.
It's a good lineup.
I'll give you credit for that Mount Rushmore.
But just to finally get to this an hour into the episode, Cole, why did you want to do Dead Again?
I like this movie. I forgot he was in it. So I was like, Robin Williams isn't Dead Again? I should watch Dead Again. And that was it.
Because I did watch this movie and I was like, what is it? I was curious, besides the Branagh of it all, what it was that interested you specifically about this.
You just were like, we're doing Robin Williams, and you said no to like several of my first requests. And it was just hard finding the real movies amidst the like baby shit. It's just what it is. Like there weren't a whole lot of options for like grown-up movies for adults, is all I'm saying.
Because you did, we do have you for World's Greatest Dad again.
Yep.
And then...
But you wouldn't let me do the Birdcage. You wouldn't let me do Insomnia.
You got beat to the Birdcage.
You wouldn't let me... I actually believe I asked for that first, and you said no, because you knew someone else was going to ask for it. What else wouldn't you let me do? There was another one you wouldn't let me
Who's on the Birdcage?
Scott. I have a special connection with him watching that movie.
Good.
Birdcage good as hell. Anyway.
No, I was just like, it was earnestly that I had forgotten he was in it, and I was like, this might be a fun reason to rewatch this movie.
Yeah.
Within this specific context. That's all it was. I was just like...
Do you like Robin Williams?
Yeah, he's great.
Okay.
He's annoying. He needs to be reined in sometimes.
Yeah. Agreed.
But...
This is one of those this is one of those middle ground performances for him.
Yeah.
Where it's like he's clearly he's being reined in, but he's still doing some of his bits.
I think like something that Robin is like kind of learning in his career is like he needs and he loses. Let me make this clear. This lesson that I'm about to describe, he loses that lesson later on. But in this part of his career, the lesson he's learning is the amount of times he frequently needs to be reined in is decreasing. Meaning, I think he shows up to the types of movies and he realizes what the assignment is at a much faster rate. Now, again, let me make this clear. He will forget this lesson. Let you be frank. Let me be frank. He does forget this lesson. Pretty much the moment he's in Patch Adams, that's where like he almost goes over. Because Cole, maybe you'd agree with this, but like early in Robin's career, I think the biggest problems that he would do is like sometimes he would take movies and he thinks that the special ingredient that the movie is missing is him. And I mean him as in the Mork and Mindy comedian Robin Williams that everybody loves watching Thursday nights at 9. Or seen at the Comedy Store. And he would insert himself into those movies in whichever capacity he can, including movies that either didn't call for it or would call for it a different way, but like The World According to Garp, which we can argue would have called for a funnier Williams in that movie, but probably not in the funnier Williams as in, let's take who he is in Garp and push it to the extreme.
The problem with The World According to Garp is that he's boring in it.
Right, but I don't think him being slapsticky Survivors Williams would have fixed it either.
Yeah.
And I think he gets better at calibrating like which dial he needs to push up and pull down more in certain movies, to where he can get into movies like Dead Again, where like I think it's this kind of like he understands what kind of movie this is.
He understands what the movie needs from him.
Yeah, and
because he's playing a character named Cozy Carlisle, so like that's a little silly.
This is definitely the best performance he's ever given as a psychiatrist, right?
I'm not gonna engage with this, Cole Bradley.
Has he played a psychiatrist 3 times?
Well, what was
he's a neurologist in Awakenings.
That doesn't count.
It's not a psychiatrist.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
Is it not brain-related doctors?
No. But I mean, if we're obviously you're referring to Good Will Hunting.
Yes.
But I do think
I was referring to Jacob the Liar.
I was gonna say I thought Jacob the Liar isn't he also?
I don't know. I just pulled that one out of my head.
No, but either it's Jacob the Liar or it's something in that similar category where he's
Jacob the Liar is a Holocaust movie. So.
It is a Holocaust movie. But there's I know there's a different one where he also plays Wait, isn't there? No, it's not World's Greatest Dad, but
Is it Shrink? Is it this movie Shrink
it's
I'm looking
License
at?
or License to Wed. He's a priest.
I want to Google. I want everyone to know. I googled Robin Williams plays psychiatrist, and Awakenings is what pops up.
He's a neurologist.
He is a neurologist.
That movie's bad. No, I like. Here's my thing with Robin Williams. Is I would say I have a similar take towards Robin Williams as I do towards Winona Ryder, which is that I like them a lot, and I don't think they've made a whole lot of good choices in their career.
Mm-hmm.
They're more talented actors in their bodies of work
Would indicate.
lay out. I think he's fantastic in Dead Again.
He's quite good. It's a small role.
Well, Thompson's the best part of Dead Again, but Williams is a close second.
Because his character... Jacoby is like...
First of all, I do believe it is Jacoby.
Derek Jacoby.
I just say, like, people. I've heard other people say what you just said, Cole, which is like, I think Robin Williams is better than what his body of work would entail. And I would have agreed with that like maybe a year ago, but after looking at his career, like, he's pretty fucking popular. Like, he has a really, really intense and long hot streak.
Are bad.
The thing that is
They're like
nice,
annoying kids movies.
The thing that is nice is that he does have yes, but also he has a mix. It's like a good mix of adult comedies, adult dramas, kids movies. Like, he kind of slots into a lot of different genres. To be clear,
my issue is not that he makes children's movies.
Yeah.
My issue is that he makes bad children's movies.
He is in Aladdin, which is pretty good.
Mrs. Doubtfire is a great movie.
I've never seen Mrs.
Did you?
Doubtfire.
I've actually never.
You've never seen
Stuart,
Mrs.
did you know
Doubtfire?
that I've never seen Mrs. Doubtfire?
What is going on?
Okay.
I've never seen Mrs. Doubtfire. I got bills to pay, dude. I'm busy. But like
Jumanji,
Flubber.
underrated, in my opinion.
Hook, Jumanji. These are like
Jumanji is pretty good.
bad movies that are insulting to children's intelligences.
Robin Williams plays the role of basically
Cozy
a
Carlisle.
15-year-old boy who gets taken away from society for 20 years, comes back, finds out
I
his
thought
parents
you were
are
talking
dead.
about Dead Again for a second. I was like, wait, is he?
And then he finds out that the source of his torment he has to endure for a longer period of time, because unless he and then the final movie is that the hunter of that is played by the same actor of his dad, because it's essentially the same character relationship he had. Jumanji, good movie.
I've only seen Jumanji
Stuart,
once.
please watch one movie not in the English language. I'm begging you. If you think that Jumanji is profound, I'm begging you.
I'm not saying it's profound, but I'm
Watch
saying a lot of
fucking a
people
Tarkovsky
give it
movie.
more shit.
I'm interested to watch Jumanji again.
And for the record, I have seen
memories of
some
it.
Tarkovsky movies.
I know, I'm just busting your balls.
I know you are. I love
But
you.
I think when I say he's really good in this, like one of the better parts of this, I'm talking about his performance, which I think is terrific. And I also specifically think he like locks into a really good pocket in this, doing the like rhythm of a Robin.
You're cutting in and out.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay. Back up.
Did you get any of that?
Back up 15 seconds and hit play again.
Yeah. Okay. I really like the pocket he's landed in here, where he's got the Williams cadence and he's got the Williams rhythm to how he's speaking, but he's not doing the Williams shtick.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's not like doing 800 impressions and like firing off like zany one-liners and ad-libs like he will in like Aladdin, but he's still talking in that like herky-jerky stop-start, like really fast, like Robin Williams cadence. And it's just such an interesting way to play like a regular person,
because
who's not like supposed to be crazy, who's just kind of offbeat.
Because his character in this, Cozy Carlisle, which is a name I just like saying,
It's so
Dr. Cozy Carlisle.
Dr. Cozy
He worked
Carlisle.
hard for that.
He's like
DO.
he's essentially a disgraced psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Who,
Because
good.
he had
He's
sex.
an unlicensed. She's an unlicensed psychiatrist. He lost his right to practice.
Because he was having sex with some of his patients.
Yeah, and he got caught in a sting operation. I want the movie to be about this guy.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's just this entire second story unfolding in this one guy's life, and you're glad that it doesn't go into him. Because it's so much more fun to just like have him drop these little bits of lore about himself, for lack of a better term. Because what makes him so compelling in this role is that it's Robin Williams, big actor, playing this role, where he gets to be like a little funny, kind of a pop of life every 20 minutes as he pops in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the movie almost kind of uses him as a red herring sometimes. Did anyone else get this vibe?
I got this a little bit. Yeah. Because I kept thinking back of like, who's he going to be indicted to, I guess, in the scheme of it all, of whatever.
Because this movie is all about it's about like past lives, and there's a lot of it's very noir-ish, and you're just looking for who's the real killer, because it's very obvious that it's not going to be Kenneth Branagh necessarily, even though that's what the movie wants you to believe. And there's like one sequence where they go to Robin, and as they're leaving, he kind of does this like shady like turn around and look at them, and the camera lingers on him. And it just, just having an actor of Robin's caliber in that role does add to this point where you're like, is he the killer? Is he somehow involved in this? And it's not a major part of the movie, but it's something you get out of having Robin in that role.
Yeah.
That you expect that he's going to have something more to do, to more involve.
But the thing about him being so prominent in this movie is that, stick with me here, it is kind of a waste of the audience's time that he's in the movie.
I kind of agree.
Because and like, obviously he's very pleasurable. It's some of the best stuff in the movie, but it's so superfluous. You could lose Williams and the movie kind of functions identically.
Yes.
As it would otherwise. But that's what I like, because I think the biggest problem with this movie is that there's not more of that. And I don't mean that I literally want more Robin Williams in the movie. I think we have the exact right amount of Robin Williams in the movie. I want more tangents.
Because I might be wrong about this. There were some parts I kind of zoned out and zoned back in, but like, do we learn anything useful from Robin Williams?
No.
Right. His whole thing,
it's just color.
He brings up fate. He has the good line where he says fate's the only cosmic force with a sense of humor. He kind of like explains the central concept of past lives. But then Derek Jacobi re-explains it.
Yeah. And exactly. That's the thing. It's like every profound thing that we could think like Williams having said in the movie that is kind of unique and interesting is something that could also be like Jacobi's saying. Yeah. Because they're also kind of playing the same role.
Yeah.
Like he's a psychiatrist, he's a hypnotist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He does float the like what I think is the coolest part about this movie, which is like the casual gender fuckery of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where once the gender fuckery is introduced, and it's introduced with like the real like intensity that a lot of gender fuckery has traditionally been introduced in Hollywood movies, where it's like this seismic punctum, right? Mm-hmm. And then Branagh goes to Williams with this, and Williams is like this, yeah, whatever. That shit happens. It's fine.
Yeah.
Boys become girls, girls become boys. And that I think is kind of a very cool thing for a movie to have in 1991, the same year as The Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, just to have like kind of this casual like acceptance of.
Yeah, but this is the point I'm making, Stuart, is that it is very superfluous. It's very vestigial, this whole subplot. But I feel like the stronger version of this movie has more stuff like that. And if you had more stuff like that, even if it was a bunch of people popping in for only one scene, then the Williams stuff I think stands out less. But this movie is so centered on the central relationship between these two people, the fact that we are occasionally getting pop-ins from this huge celebrity, I do think it feels unbalancing, even if it's some of the strongest material in the movie.
Because like this movie's biggest problem is that like I feel like it just gets so bogged down in the flashback stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much flashback stuff.
It's too much flashback, and then even like the right amount of flashback, like it's not interesting. Like I don't care about the Strausses, like the inner machinations of their relationship necessarily.
Yeah.
This movie's so much more interesting, in my opinion, if that stuff is kept at a remove for much more of the movie. And it's just like if it just remains this mystery and you don't really have to get to know these people that well. And then the reveal at the end that, oh no, they actually did love each other and the kid had orchestrated the murder, I think works better than, because like you figure out pretty quickly that he didn't murder her.
Yeah.
Like by 20 minutes in, I'm like, okay, he didn't murder her, and now I'm trying to figure out who the murderer is.
Yeah.
If this movie stays, keeps the Strausses at such a remove, you're only getting little pop-ins in the therapy sessions. Then I think it's a stronger film.
Have you seen Sisters?
No,
The De Palma and Margot Kidder movie?
I have not.
Mm-mm.
I saw someone on Letterboxd like say that this is like sleek Hollywood Sisters, and it was like, that's weird because I don't see that at all. But I've been thinking about it because Sisters is not a movie that is about past lives, but Sisters is a movie that is about like repressed memories, which I think is, speaking a similar language as its generic function. But Sisters does exactly what you're saying, which is that it's mostly a movie about this like crazy woman where everyone's trying to figure out what her deal is. And then like the last 20 minutes are this just like psychotronic freak out of a flashback scene to explain everything that like has brought her this way. And it's so much more powerful to contain that all into like a sheer burst of style as the climax of your movie. Whereas this one, you're just like, you're in and out and you're in and out. And at what point watching this movie did you guys realize that this is mostly a movie about people sitting in a room watching Emma Thompson have a nap?
Yeah. That's so much of the movie. And like I like this movie a fair bit because I think it's pretty wacky and pulpy and that stuff propels.
Yeah.
But so much of the movie kind of comes down to, you have the answers fairly early on, and now you're just kind of like sitting waiting for her to get to the end of the story in these sessions.
Yeah,
because if
we're gonna think,
this movie's much more interesting if it takes much longer for them to like figure out what's going on with her.
Yeah,
and then get more into her dream walking, or you space out more, because right now it's just like, we're going to Jacoby's. We work through a day in the dream walk. Okay, now we're going to have a nice romance scene, which I'm going to say they're very charming together for obvious reasons.
But it's a waste of time.
But yeah, and then we're back to the dream walking. Another date, back to the dream, date, and that's just kind of the structure the movie operates with. Whereas if Jacoby, if you make him more of like a midpoint arrival.
Yeah,
to the story,
he does just kind of crash in.
He literally walks in through their open front door and is like, "Hello, I'm a psychiatrist. I'm here with answers." And you're like, I wonder what this guy's deal is.
Yeah.
This movie's more interesting if he comes in the middle, through some other means, and you have more at the front end of just like he goes to Cozy Carlisle for information and gets a little bit. They kind of stumble into her dream walking somehow. And then you can have Jacoby come in at the middle to, open the door finally and explain what's happening. That's a little more compelling. Now, I say all this, but this movie has so much silliness happening that I'm still like really compelled watching it.
To that very point, Jeff, because I was just thinking this too, like he really does just walk in their front door, offers them a lot of...
That's the thing. It's like, that's when I was like, okay, this is just like silly. It's like, they're just sitting on the couch. The door's open. He walks in, he's like, "Hello, my name is Dr. Jacoby. here is my card.
And well,
Said
the thing
with
is,
more-
like, he pops in literally the morning after they release the newspaper listing of her.
Yeah.
And right away, my thought is,
Yeah.
like something's up with this guy. I'm sure it's going to come in later, but I guess we'll find out. And then they do the first session, and she learns how to talk again. Now, I might be wrong about this, because I will say I also liked Emma Thompson's performance. But you know when I really liked Emma Thompson's performance? When she couldn't talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say that as a mean of like when she started talking, her performance was bad. I just mean that when she like literally couldn't speak, that I thought her performances were really good. And I would have loved like what if the whole first half of the movie.
Yeah, she can't
like
talk.
what you said is like she doesn't go.
It's Branagh just like kind of running her around LA to different people, being
Yeah.
like, "Can you like help me with this? Because I'm stuck with her now."
And it's like, can you imagine like
And
this
she's
scene
got
of, like,
those eyes.
yeah, and it's
Right? Like she's doing so much eye work with those huge.
I literally
peepers.
in my notes, I literally just put the eyes emoji next to her name,
yeah,
and that was my like. It's like she does the
yeah.
so much. And for like the first half of this, and like obviously, you know, I hate to just review a movie and just be like, well, here's how it could have been better, instead of just like take it on its own. But I do really think that if the first half of this movie is so much more, she can't talk. Kenneth Branagh is now stuck with her, and he's just kind of like running her around LA, trying to figure out what's going on, and slowly you're figuring out the reveal.
With mostly the idea that he's doing a lot of it just to get her off his hands.
Yes.
Like,
But then they slowly start falling in love. Like you,
yeah.
I
there's,
think
yeah,
They fall in love like the third scene of the movie.
no. I think the problem is that because of so much of the plot occurs in flashbacks, I'm thinking Frank feels he needs the love story to give it forward momentum in the main timeline.
yeah.
But that love story ends up feeling kind of perfunctory, kind of wasting our time, and it pulls away from what's interesting about their dynamic in the first act, which is that he's stuck with her.
Yes.
Right? Like that
Yeah.
that tension, that idea that they kind of don't like each other, but they're forced to do this thing together, and she's almost a burden, is what really animates, I think, the first chunk of this movie. And the reason you have her start talking so soon is because the movie needs to get to the love story.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that like Branagh doesn't really accomplish anything in this movie. Like at the beginning he's trying to figure out what's going on with her, but
does
he
nothing.
never does. Wayne Knight does all the investigating. Wayne Knight finds out who she is. Wayne Knight puts all the things in the paper. And Jacoby just walks in and gives them the answer. Now, if you like they go to Robin Williams and like he gives them a little bit, but if you have more of them together and she can't talk at the head, take a little bit of the flashback out in the second half, then that gives Branagh's character, Mike Church, so much more like narrative propulsion in this.
I like what we're doing. Just a quick for the audience, in case, you know, if people are tuning into this and they haven't seen the movie, just a very quick flash plot overview. We start with a series of newspapers about a murder happening.
Yes.
And we see Kenneth Branagh as Roman. Not
Yes.
Roman, the not as in like a
Not as in Fast and Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, Roman.
right, but
We
that
Hungry.
his first name is Roman, and he's this like operatic
Roman Strauss, he's a composer. He writes operas.
and he is
This is in the
prison.
40s.
This is in the 40s, yes, in black and white. And he's in prison. He's set to be executed. And then Andy Garcia, who's this journalist,
Who's like an entertainment journalist named
Yeah.
Gray Baker.
he goes to his prison cell and he's like, yes, did you actually kill your wife?
And Roman leans in, whispers something in his ear, and then is led to death row or led to his execution.
Yeah.
And from that, we kind of jump into the present.
And that's where Emma Thompson wakes up screaming in this orphanage, this Christian orphanage. And the priest and the nuns are like, she's gotta go. Like, we found her and we took her in, but like she can't stay here. And she has no memory and she can't talk. She has amnesia. And so then the priest is like, I know a guy who we can call. And they call up Kenneth Branagh in modern day, who's playing, what's his name in the movie?
Mike Church.
Mike Church.
Great PI name.
Great PI name. I agree. And so he shows up, and his first scene is he's with Doctor Cozy Carlisle, Robin Williams, and he's in this like grocery store freezer. And he's like, hey, so the settlement came out and you get $11,000 or whatever. And he's like, and then that's where we get the background that Robin Williams' character was this disgraced psychiatrist who slept with some of his patients and is now just kind of like hiding in disgrace.
Bumming around. And so then he gets the call. He goes to the orphanage and talks to the priest and the nun. He's like, yeah, so just take her to the hospital or something and see if he can figure out He's hired because he's good at finding people.
Yeah, he specializes in finding missing people.
Yes.
Is what they say. So they get in the car, and immediately first thing he does is he drives her over and gets a screenshot with Wayne Knight.
Yes.
And
the great Wayne Knight.
Right away, Wayne Knight's like, oh, you're going to sleep with her?
Wayne Knight just like dripping sweat in this basement dark room.
But
just like it's like exactly what you want Wayne Knight to be. He's in like a cramped basement.
Yes,
just like he's like developing the film in like water containers filled with sweat. Basically, he just like kind of wrings out his shirt and fills the thing, and then he pulls the paper out.
You think anybody can run this system for this kind of money? This cheap? Dennis, but they are your problems.
Thanks, Dad.
And so then they get a picture of her and they're going to put it on the next day paper. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to take you to the hospital now.
Yeah, he tries to essentially drop her off at like the psych ward.
Yeah, but then he sees how chaotic it is.
And then weirdly, Robin Williams from Awakenings is there. And it's like a whole, the Bronx. I don't know.
It was very funny because it's like, I used to be a doctor that treated patients. And like, I'll just say like, we covered Awakenings a while ago, but I watched it very recently. Ago. And it was funny being like a disgraced psychiatrist. I'm like, is this a sequel to Awakenings? Anyway.
No, this isn't a sequel to Awakenings because this movie is interesting and things happen in it.
Awakenings, great movie. Robin should have been nominated for an Oscar. Anyway.
Okay, I will allow you for that because if they do nominate Robin, then they have not boxed themselves out of nominating De Niro for Goodfellas.
This is true. We did talk about that.
This is true. We did talk about that.
It drives me crazy that Robert De Niro got an Oscar nomination for fucking Awakenings and not playing Jimmy Conway in Goodfellas.
A movie I still haven't seen.
I'm going to do my Jimmy Conway face.
How?
A movie I still haven't seen.
How?
I haven't seen Goodfellas.
I think Connor had a heart attack when you told him that in the Iceman episode.
Yeah.
We should watch Goodfellas.
I should at some point.
What are you doing tonight?
We should watch Goodfellas.
I got D&D later tonight.
Okay, what are you doing after D&D?
It's gonna be a long session.
It's gonna be a long session.
Just put on Goodfellas in the background.
What if we did just
watch
play Goodfellas
in
during
the background? I also haven't seen Casino, by the way. I've heard that's a movie.
You gotta watch Casino after you watch Goodfellas.
Okay.
And then you gotta watch The Wolf of Wall Street last.
Yeah,
I've seen The Wolf of Wall Street. That movie.
Well, you fucked up.
You know what?
Fucked up by watching that one first.
You know what annoys me? That Scorsese has ostensibly made like 3 or 4 dedicated mob movies, like directly about the mob.
Mm-hmm.
Goodfellas, Casino, Departed, and Irishman.
Mean Streets.
Mean Streets is like, it's about people who are adjacent to the mob, but it's not about the mob.
I would actually quibble here. Mean Streets counts more than Departed does.
Departed is about the Irish mob, but it's still the mob, you know?
But Mean Streets is about the mafia.
Departed is about microprocessors, actually.
Microprocessors.
Brother, this guy stinks!
Okay. Microprocessors. Stuart, when's the last time you thought about microprocessor?
I've never
Maybe
thought
fuck
about microprocessors.
Anyway, the problem is in Goodfellas, Casino, and Departed, he uses Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. And I am a smidge annoyed The Irishman does not have. The Irishman, perfect movie that I think is like incredible, does not have Gimme Shelter at any point in it. It's a little annoying. But it's like such a minor quibble, but I did want to bring it up. Anyway,
so where were we at this?
So
you cannot run through the entire plot. It's very
I'm gonna finish this out.
Okay.
How about this? So he takes her to an orphanage. He doesn't like the conditions there, so he brings her home. They hang out at his house.
To his place.
To his place. He lives in like an old, Hollywood estate.
He lives above a piano player.
They run her picture in the paper. This incites Jared Jacoby to show up at the house. He's unprompted. He's a psychiatrist who walks in the front door. He's like, I can tell you what's happening. He puts her under a trance, reveals that she is the future life of Margaret Strauss, who was murdered supposedly by Roman Strauss, who is also looks a lot like Branagh.
Yeah.
And so while these sessions are happening, she learns how to speak. She and Branagh, in their time away from sessions, kind of go on little dates. They start really falling in love with each other. All the while, she's drawing closer and closer to figuring out why did Roman murder Margaret. There's a lot of business that happens in the middle. Campbell Scott shows up at some point as a fake husband for her who also knows karate, which is cool as hell.
Campbell Scott.
That sequence is exactly the reason why I still like this movie, in spite of all the problems I have with it. Is like that, when he shows up and he's like, "I'm her husband. Here are her pills as proof." And Kenneth
Can
Branaghs
everyone
like,
text Connor Hess and tell him that we should do Campbell Scott on my podcast?
You should do Campbell Scott.
Because I think it would be cool.
You should do Campbell Scott.
But the thing is,
why is his name Campbell Scott and not Scott Campbell?
Campbell Scott, it's cool. He's cool as hell.
His literal name is Campbell Scott.
It feels like it's backwards.
Well, his last name is Scott.
He's got some Ricky Bobby
Stuart.
action going on there.
Stuart, you know who his dad is, right?
Bernice Scott? I don't know.
Jeff, do you know who Campbell Scott's father is?
I actually don't.
Campbell Scott is Dorsey Scott's son.
Oh, shit. That's cool as hell.
Do you know who Campbell Scott's best friend is?
Me.
Who's his best friend?
My best friend.
Best friend, and they have directed 2 movies together.
Who is it?
It's the homie Stanley Tucci.
Oh. Dude.
But why not?
Wait, Jeff, have you never seen Big Night?
Never seen Big Night.
Jeff, what if I told you there's a movie directed by Campbell Scott and Stanley Tucci where Stanley Tucci and Tony Shalhoub play Italian brothers in like New Jersey in the 50s, like opening a restaurant?
Yeah.
The Campbell Scott scene rocks though, because it's also like, and again, it's similar to the smart decision that I think the movie makes with Williams that I just wish it made more, is like, okay, the energy in the movie is lagging. What if we had Campbell Scott jump in and do karate?
Yes.
Right. And then you're just like, it's so high intensity that like, I think it buys you goodwill for a bunch more Derek Jacobi scenes.
For a bunch more boring flashbacks. Like, because that scene, you expect that like, obviously this guy is not for real. And then you expect like, they're going to figure it out. They figure it out. And you think like there's a little foot chase. You think realistically what's going to happen is Branagh's either going to trip and not be able to get him, or he's just going to like grab him and beat him up. What you don't expect is that he tackles him at the end. Campbell Scott leaps up and reveals he is a karate expert and systematically takes down Kenneth Branagh. That's what you don't expect. And then jumps off the bridge and like runs away down train tracks or something.
It also doesn't make sense when you find out the solution to the mystery.
Yes.
So like, okay,
that Derek Jacobi just hired
actually
him.
Speed run this. They think Emma Thompson is the reincarnation of Margaret. And then as they further poke into this, they start to realize that no, Kenneth Branagh is the reincarnation of Margaret and Emma Thompson is the reincarnation
of Roman.
And then Emma Thompson's identity gets discovered. both of them start panicking. The other one is going to kill the other. And so they're like both on edge, both freaking out. And then Kenneth Branagh tracks down old Andy Garcia and realizes that Derek Jacobi is the son of Roman and Margaret's housekeeper. And that he actually killed Margaret because he was in love with her and couldn't stand that she was with Roman, and framed Roman for it. And he has kind of hypnotized them into this whole scenario to kind of attempt to get one of them to re-murder the other so as to prove that reincarnation is real. It's very confusing as to what his actual end goal is, based on the fact that he wants them dead. But if that is the case, and that he has been engineering this entire scenario to bring these two people who look like Roman and Margaret together, to get them to reenact the murder for his own pleasure, it does not make sense that he would hire Campbell Scott to separate them.
Yeah,
which is explicitly laid out as part of his plan.
Because the Campbell Scott thing is... Because Kenneth Branagh puts it together at the end. He's like, so you hired Campbell Scott to try and whisk her away.
But why?
Yeah, but that part doesn't make sense.
What was achieved? Jacobi's plan is reliant, because by this point he has not sprung step 2 of his plan, which is hypnotizing them into thinking that the gender flip has happened, which is really contingent to everything he's doing. So why is he trying to split them up?
The sweatiness of all this is part of the charm, I feel like. The
sweatiness is part of the charm, but it's also frustrating because you kind of want something sweatier.
Yes, you either want it to be sweatier or you want it to actually make more sense.
This is a movie I was thinking of while watching it this time, because I do wonder if it's kind of the idea. Have either of you two seen The Big Sleep, the Howard Hawks Humphrey Bogart movie?
A long time ago.
No.
In film school.
So the thing about The Big Sleep is that The Big Sleep is based on a novel that is already famously kind of convoluted, because it was like assembled from short stories, so there's not a whole lot of connective tissue. Famously, Raymond Chandler doesn't know who killed one of the murder victims in that book. He just like... The book is so convoluted that he did not realize that he didn't solve one of the central mysteries. But it's also... That book is about a porn ring. So when they're adapting that book to a movie in the 40s... like, not only are they dealing with a very convoluted story, but they can't actually address any of the plotting, which makes it even sweatier. But the thing about that movie is it doesn't matter that movie is incredibly sweaty and incredibly incoherent. And if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it doesn't make sense, because every scene is Bogey meeting a fucking Robin Williams type. And having a really cool interaction with a fun actor that sparks and has energy, and that kind of carries through the fact that none of it makes sense, and it is fucking working overtime to try to get you doing it.
It's you know, the secret to most of the good noirs is not the mystery. It's the vibe. It's like It's the thing the Coen brothers wisely realize when they do their riff in The Big Lebowski, which is itself very much a Dashiell Hammett riff. Is that they're just like, well, the mystery doesn't matter. Don't pay attention to it. We're not going to like focus the movie at any point on the mystery. The point is the vibe of this movie, and like hanging out with these characters and meeting all these odd folks, and like the mystery is circumstantial, and we're going to wave it off at the end. Bunny Lebowski's just going to come home.
But this one like cranks the vibe to like 11, because you've got Robin Williams and Campbell Scott doing karate, and Andy Garcia like lathered in like decrepit old age makeup. And I'm like, is this the vibe you're going for? Or are these accents on kind of a slog of a central mystery? And I wonder if it's rewritten when Branagh comes on to like emphasize the love story because of the contention. But I want more karate in this movie. I want it to be sillier.
You want more of that stuff Because, okay, so I need help with one thing. He takes her to a restaurant for at one point, and he's told that like the place has lost its liquor license and got shut down or something. Is that Andy Garcia as the bartender?
No.
It looks like Andy Garcia.
I think it's a guy who looks like Andy Garcia as maybe part of a lost thread about more people being reincarnated.
Yeah, I was convinced it was Andy Garcia reincarnated, but then Andy Garcia pops back up later. And I'm like, wait a second.
You also know it's not Andy Garcia because that actor delivers lines like a normal human being. I say that with love and affection to Andy Garcia, the hammiest ham in the history of ham sandwiches. See, Jeff, you said that you think this movie works in spite of its flaws because of how silly it is.
Yes, but you want it to be sillier.
I think the silliness and the specific level of silliness is kind of the primary issue. But I still think this movie works. And I think that's because Emma Thompson is fucking like landing threes the whole time.
Yes.
And she grounds this like kind of mess of a movie in a way where I'm just like delighted by all its tonal inconsistencies because you have this rock at the center of it.
Because if you're looking at the two central performances of this movie, and the two characters they each play, Emma Thompson is crafting two fully realized characters, both as Margaret.
I disagree.
And as Grace.
I think she has five.
She does, yes, but you know what I mean. Just like if you're talking about,
I know what you mean, but I think it's more impressive than that. I think she gives 5 distinct performances in this movie.
But then you look at Kenneth Branagh, and the thing about Kenneth Branagh in this movie is that when he's in the present day, his role is, hey, I'm Kenneth Branagh. How you doing? All right, so we're gonna go over here, and I'm gonna fix that over there. I'm trying to quit smoking, but I'm not. He's just kind of doing that. And then in the past, he is doing like river of ham lathering, where he's just like, I am the composer, but he will not let me do my thing.
But those two performances are not in dialogue with each other. No, the Thompson performances are in dialogue with each other.
Yeah, it's like I love Kenneth Branagh. I love him especially when he's being hammy. Like that's what he's good at. Mm-hmm. That's what he's best at. And I like both those performances in a vacuum. Yes. But when you put them together, it's like, what's the reincarnation angle here? There's no similarity between these two men. Besides what the script is just like saying is similar between them.
Yeah.
Whereas Emma Thompson is drawing this powerful through line between Margaret Strauss as well as Amanda Sharp, Grace, and then Grace when she can't speak.
Five performances Emma Thompson gives in this movie.
And they're all good.
Grace.
They all are in dialogue with each other.
But the 5 performances Emma Thompson gives in this movie are Grace, the amnesiac woman, Margaret, the woman in the past, Branagh as Margaret, right? She does fucking Mission Impossible acting for like 30 seconds in the flashback scene where it's Branagh's flashback and he sees Thompson in the mirror. That's a distinct performance from either of those two performances. Then you have Amanda, which is the woman who's starting to regain her memory, which is also a distinct performance. And then she, unlike Branagh, also manages to play a super level on top of the Amanda stuff of this like tension of if she's actually a reincarnation of Roman, which is just kind of an accent to the Amanda performance. So maybe it's not a 5th performance, but she does all of that. I don't know if you remember, Jeff, but when you came on my show to talk Mr. Banks,
yes,
we did
talk about Emma Thompson.
Yeah. And I put this on the Thompson Rushmore.
I do not.
Now I don't.
I would keep it on if.
This is my saying is I don't know if it is literally one of her 4 best performances, but just the virtuosity of it alone, and the fact that I think it makes the entire movie work is why I think it needs to be remembered as one of her great performances. And it's her first lead role.
Yes. Like she's.
Do I nominate her? I gotta look at my 90. Is this 91 or 92?
It's 91.
I'm going to see if I nominate her. I can't remember.
I think she's worthy of it. The movie itself, like, weirdly, the one actor who gets a nomination off of this
is Jacoby at SAG BAFTA.
The BAFTAs. That's the one nomination this movie gets for an actor.
How many BAFTA nominations does Jared Jacobi have?
Let's find out.
Let's remember when he showed up somehow in Gladiator 2.
That was crazy.
That was crazy.
What I like about him in Gladiator 2 is that you're like, oh, well, this is like one of the 3 actors they brought back from the first movie. Clearly, he will have something to do. And then he just like is present in a few scenes. He's like, we are still with you, my lady. The Senate is with you. And then he's at the end and is like, he's tied up to the thing that they're going to slaughter Connie Nielsen on. And Derek then like Jacobi. There's this hilarious cut. Cole, I think it's one of the funny. It's like one of my biggest laughs of last year. I can tell you my 2 biggest laughs of 2024 film. One is the death of, spoiler alert for Megalopolis, the death of Dustin Hoffman in Megalopolis.
Do you like my boner? Dustin Hoffman's a different one.
Dustin Hoffman's death in Megalopolis. Like it's like there's like Dustin Hoffman is in the first third of Megalopolis as a character, and then like he just kind of stops appearing in the movie, and then there's like a part where they're in like a little sculpture garden. There's a sculpture of him. And I think it's Shia LaBeouf is like, oh, what happened to him? They're like, we don't got to deal with him anymore. And it just cuts away to Dustin Hoffman in a fully CG environment, just going, ah, with his hand over his head as like a pillar falls on top of him with no explanation as to what happened. I laughed for 5 minutes in the theater. I stopped, was like, okay, I'm good. I took a drink of my lemonade and then I thought about it again and I laughed and sprayed lemonade all over Mark Tilley, who was sitting next to me, because I laughed for 5 more minutes about it. It was just like, it's so quick. It's like, what happened to him? We don't got to worry about him. Ah! Come right back to the scene. It's so funny.
I love that movie so much.
Then the second most laugh is a very similar vibe where it's just like Derek Jacobi, who I've forgotten is in Gladiator 2 at this point, is tied up to the thing. And I'm like, oh, look, there's Gracchus. I wonder if, and then it just like comes up and go, oh, so some like random dude just runs up and stabs him in the throat. And I'm like, oh, I guess we're done with that character. All right.
So Derek Jacobi has 5 BAFTA nominations, but weirdly, this is the only one that's for a movie. The rest of them are all TV. Which is less than I would have thought. Who does he lose to? Do you guys want to guess who he loses to for Best Supporting Actor this year? Oh, this is good. This is really good.
Who is it?
Okay. Derek Jacobi nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Alan Bates nominated for Best Supporting Actor for the Mel Gibson Hamlet. Andrew Strong nominated for Great Movie The Commitments. But your winner for Best Actor in a Supporting Role at the 1992 BAFTAs is Alan Rickman as the Sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Okay, do I nominate Emma Thompson for Best Actress in 1991?
Can I clearly say I have a lot of respect for Robin Hood adaptations, in the sense that, as far as I can tell, they've never quite gone down to just calling him the sheriff. They always insist upon calling him the Sheriff of Nottingham, which I know is the name from the book, but I do respect that when they're like, we're doing the edgy Robin Hood remade. Ben Mendelsohn is playing the Sheriff of Nottingham. They don't just call him the Sheriff.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Jeff. This is an important question.
Yes. Is it about how good Ben Mendelsohn is?
I've never seen that movie.
Just in general.
I do not have Emma Thompson nominated for Best Actress this year.
Yes. Who do you have?
Do I cut Linda Hamilton and put in Emma Thompson?
For T2?
For T2.
I think you cut Linda Hamilton and put Emma Thompson.
Or is that justifiably a supporting performance?
In T2? No, she's the lead.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna edit this when we're done on this my list. I think I would give Emma Thompson a Best Actress nomination for Dead Again. Settled. I would not give Kenneth Branagh a Best Actor nomination. I'm definitely not giving Jacobi a Best Supporting Actor nomination.
Jacobi is calibrated in a weird way in this movie. We haven't talked about his performance yet, because like it just doesn't work, right?
It is weird.
Because it's like you want him to either really play up the Shakespearean of it, or you want like him to just like really, I don't know, give you a performance. But he's just like,
There was a moment in like the final fight scene, which was goofy as hell.
Yeah.
But there was a moment I thought we were gonna do the Get Out segment where he would have grabbed the teacup and like, and she passes out.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. Missed opportunity.
Like you want him to just like really be like, I'm a psychiatrist with abilities. Like you kind of want him to do that.
You keep saying it's like he's a hypnotist, Jeff.
Whatever.
They're very distinct.
You
difference.
want him to do that, right? You want him to be like, I have abilities, but instead he's just like, no, my scheme is to shoot you with a gun. Like, I have a pistol and a knife
and scissors. That final fight scene is goofy as fuck.
Of the central three actors in this movie, I get that you don't want to give the game away, and it's kind of a difficult task to ask of an actor. But given that he's the only one who is playing a character in the alternate pathway, I get no sense of this guy as an evil little German boy.
Yeah, that's the thing. And
I would like more connective tissue between the two performances, given that they're the only ones who are actually playing the same person.
Because that doesn't work. There's no connection between the two of them, like you're saying. But then, like, you just want him to, I don't know, have some more gumption to him. And it's, like, pretty obvious that he's involved in the scheme because he's the only other character of note in the movie.
Yeah.
Now, they're obviously trying to convince you that Andy Garcia is actually the murderer. That's very clearly the main red herring of the movie. But at the same time, like, we see Andy Garcia like 3 times in the whole movie.
He's having so much fun, though.
He's having so much fun.
Even for Andy Garcia, he's like strolling into these like noir pastiche sequences and just like opening his jaw and taking a bite.
Yeah. Big honey baked ham.
Delight. The 2 scenes that are him and Thompson just going back and forth are maybe the best non-Williams scenes in the movie.
Because like
maybe
if this movie had more characters in it.
Yeah, that's what it needs. It needs more bits.
Then Jacoby becomes less obviously the bad guy.
I am torn between loving the casting and use of Hannah Shagula in this movie and also being like, why are we wasting Hannah Shagula's time by giving her nothing to do? Because it's cool that she's just like an image, right? Like in like almost like a statue in these frames because she's so striking. But I'm also like, you were in The Marriage of Maria Brown. You're one of the best actresses of all time. What, like, can we give you a little more to do with this movie?
You know what another thing about this movie is that there's the like
Stuart is tapped out.
No, he's got to grab something. There's ostensibly 3 actors in this movie who play the same role, or who play the past lives thing. Because it's Branagh, Thompson, but then weirdly there's like the nun, who also plays the party guest.
Yes.
Which is another just
weird scene.
Another instance of this movie just being like, I don't think they knew what they were tapped into if we're going to introduce a third person in this mix, but then never play with that idea again.
Yeah.
Because you want like...
But on the other hand, it's fun that they do that. Like this is the almost frustrating thing about this movie is that like everything, it's so easy to sit there and like point out all this like stuff that like are bad decisions that don't work, that seem to have potential, that is being untapped into. And it's so hard to translate that to the listeners, the experience of actually watching this and being so bemused by its eccentricities.
Yeah, like I would like to the listener, I'm talking like obviously a lot of problems I have with this movie. I would recommend watching it. It is entertaining.
The experience of watching it is both frustrating and charming. And it in a way that is hard to like break down if you haven't seen it. But I think Jeff and maybe Stuart, Does Stuart like this movie? I just realized I don't think we've gotten a good handle on it.
We have not figured out.
Tell him to get back on mic.
I'm getting him in.
It's important.
I
Holler.
hear the toilet flushing.
Okay.
He's coming back.
Stuart,
we got no.
Stuart.
We realized we never got an answer from you. Here he is. He's back.
We have a very important question.
What's up?
Stuart.
We realized we never.
Stuart,
Yes.
What's up?
do you like this movie?
We realized that we never got a handle on your thoughts on
We
this
kind
movie.
of took control of this one, and we haven't actually. Because we're just both, I think, very on the same page about this one, me and Jeff.
It was puzzling movie to watch for me.
Yeah.
And, I just watched Awakenings prior to this and cried my eyes out like twice throughout that movie.
This is
I
way
think
better than Awakenings.
No, it's not. That's for you, maybe. But then I tuned into this movie and, by the first couple of scenes, I was like pretty locked in. I was like, oh, we got black and white period piece and Kenneth Branagh doing a real interesting German composer character bit going on here. I'm like, okay. And then we cut to present day and, we get like that Robin Williams scene. I'm like, okay, so there's our boy Robin. And then he does his thing and leaves. And then just the rest of the movie, I just kind of like tuned out a bit because it painfully like scraping a chalkboard is like trying to make this whole convoluted plot sequence of this like star-crossed lovers murder thing. And I'm just here like, what? Like, why do I care about any of this stuff? And so my final thoughts really for this movie are just that, I don't know. I think I would give it like a 6 out of 10.
I think Cole and I are both a little more amused by, like, Cole, you described it, its eccentricities. Like, it's silly enough that, like, I give it a 7 just based on the fact that, like, it doesn't work, but yet when it is cooking,
but the way
I
it doesn't
agree
work kind of works.
Well, I agree with what you said earlier, Cole, that it needed to be more silly.
Yes.
And it trying to tiptoe this line of being like silly and sweaty, but also like serious and dramatic. Just, it never quite got that pocket for me. And so I'm sitting there like feeling lost and confused most of the time and also conflicted on how I'm supposed to feel about certain things. Because there are points in this movie, it's like, oh, I don't really need to care about this part at all, like the Scott Campbell bit. It's like, do I really need to focus in on this part at all? But you can't pull out scenes like that. You can't also pull out scenes with Robin Williams that also don't really matter, and then expect me to think that all the other bits are important to watch. Like, make up your mind. Is this going to be like a silly ass movie, or is this going to be like taken so fucking seriously?
I think the thing all three of us agree on is just like, this movie has a lot of ideas in it.
Yes.
But none of the ideas are like necessarily working in dialogue with each other.
Yeah.
And like something that I can't believe we didn't even bring up yet is like how Hitchcockian this thing is trying to be.
Yes.
And like it's clearly, it's at times pulling ideas from Vertigo, Carlotta Valdez, but like it's like never doing anything with that.
But this is also, I think, another big problem is that Branagh doing this Hitchcockian direction.
I agree. It's like,
is not the right vibe for what Frank is doing on the page. It's the wrong homage to make.
yeah, I would agree with that. It almost shoots itself in the foot for how hard it's trying to be Hitchcockian.
Like Vertigo it's inherently like kind of a pulpy plot, but that movie is not pulpy, I would say.
No.
Whereas
the movie is operatic.
Yeah, it's operatic. Whereas something like this, it's written very pulpy, but he's trying to, do that same opera style to the extent that like at the end they're like there's literally an opera playing over the final confrontation.
Yeah.
But I think Frank is more locked into like the Hawksian machinations than the Hitchcockian grandeur. I know you guys got to go. Can I just make one last point about this?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am okay. I don't know if you saw this, but the black and white was entirely done in post.
Yes.
They shot those sequences in color, and then they were like realized that like making it black and white and having this like clear delineation between the two timelines just made the movie easier to follow. I am no celluloid supremacist, but it is stunning how much better the like chemical process black and white looks compared to similar digital desaturations.
Yes.
Like,
No, it's
obviously it looked best if they had just shot it and lit it for black and white, but compare this to a movie like The Man Who Wasn't There from like 9 years later, and like it just looks so much better than any contemporary movie.
digital
Black and white.
Digital black and white never has the same punch that like film. It's why Oppenheimer works so well, and it's like two different film stocks that it literally shoots that past stuff or the Strauss stuff in black and white.
Yes.
IMAX photography. And
obviously it always looks better if you actually shoot it in black and white.
Yes. On film stock.
Yeah.
Because when you just like you film it in, you know, a digital lens, a digital sensor, and then you just remove the black, like you just, you know, throw the black and white filter on it. It's never going to give you the same punch that this movie, you know, is able to evoke.
And like, I don't think you would necessarily clock that this movie was not shot in black and white if you didn't know that. I think you would maybe be like, this isn't the most interesting black and white. And once you know that it's all post, you can kind of justify why it's not as good of an evocation as it wants to be.
Yeah.
But I still don't think you would clock it the way as if you watch like a modern neo-noir that is shot digitally. You're immediately like, you can see the post on. That's all. That was my last thought. Did this movie make money, Jeff?
So the thing about this movie is, comes out August of 1991. It makes like enough. It's like a modest success. It makes 38 million. The budget was 15, so it like breaks even. It clears. The thing that I forget that that the little boy's a Nazi in this movie, kind of. I just remember that.
Oh shit!
I realized that because the Wikipedia page has
small minor detail,
a hyperlink to the Nazis over someone.
Cool.
One of my favorite through lines on the show is people in the Wikipedia descriptions, plot summaries for movies, hyperlinking to things unrelated to the movie. Such as saying that Inga saved his life in Nazi Germany and hyperlinking Nazi Germany.
Very good.
But this movie
opens under the 8th week of Terminator 2.
Yes. I mean, let's be clear here.
And the 4th week of Hot Shots. Hot Shots has been number one. It's number one and it's 4 weeks old. That's crazy, man. That's not even the good one. Hot Shots was number one for a month.
But yeah, so this movie makes
It does okay.
It does okay.
It does fine.
And
I do.
Critically speaking, it's kind of like medium reviews. Some people are like, I think reviews that I read was like, most people were thinking this in terms of like, this is Kenneth Branagh's second directorial movie. And whether or not he like hits the mark on trying to make this like Hitchcockian or not with the pulp screenplay vibe, people say in a lot of the reviews that I read that like we're at least looking forward to seeing what he does later.
It's like a decent enough calling card movie of like, here's what I can do.
Yeah.
I can do other things that aren't just Shakespeare.
I do think 35 years later, the like overarching narrative of the Branagh career is that he came out of the gate so strong and could never really maintain that momentum.
Yeah.
And I do think this movie being a bit of a stumble, even if it wasn't viewed as like a disastrous follow-up, kind of presages where the rest of his career is going to go terms of
it also
being someone nominated for Best Director and Best Actor for their first movie.
But like it also like it kind of indicates like almost a more interesting career.
Yes.
Because it's like, oh well, he was willing to take this swing and make this.
Yes.
And it doesn't work. And you want him to do more. I mean, I love his Poirot movies, to be clear. But I want him to do something weird like this again.
Well, I have bad news for you.
He's just doing another psychological thriller, right?
Yeah, but do you know who stars in it?
Jodie Comer.
That's
What if it's just this movie? The final thing I have to say about Dead Again specifically, what if Jodie Comer does her bike rider's accent again? Is that this movie, in spite of like being like just a homage thing, it gets remade in India twice. There are two Indian remakes of this movie.
I mean, that makes sense given that from the like very minor knowledge of Indian cinema, I feel like I have seen several movies in which, even before you get into the Hinduism, I have just seen several big Indian movies in which reincarnation as a plot point. So I would not be surprised by to know that. What do we got here?
Because like
1998.
This movie has that like it's Malayalam is the specific language it's in. So it's not Bollywood or Dollywood. It's Malayalam. They make two movies, Mayil Pili Kavu in 1998, and then in 2008 is Sila Narangali, which I think it's just funny that like this movie of all things gets remade twice in India.
Yeah, but you got to remember that India has several film industries within it.
Yes.
So it is not unsurprising to see Indian movies remade in India shortly after they come out, because like not only are these two movies 10 years apart, but they're not going to be playing like the first one in this is not sold to the same audiences as the second one is.
Yeah.
I mean, I would not be surprised if these were good. Like this feels like a good setup for, I don't know, you can do more with this.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it.
Like to see it.
But
Stuart wants to leave.
Yeah, we got to get going.
I'm
All
hungry. Right. I need food.
I also need food. I haven't eaten today.
I do think we've kind of like.
I think we've done our due diligence.
Yeah.
Because like in regards to the final thing, like in regards to Robin, like
it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, it's a small role. He's not credited in the opening credits. He does it to work with Branagh. He's going to work with him again.
Yeah.
In Hamlet, which we'll talk about.
Have you guys seen Hamlet?
I watched part of his Hamlet in high school English class, but I've never seen the whole thing.
I just feel like the big reputation that movie has is that Robin Williams is really good in it.
Which I'm excited to see.
I'm excited to see that.
Hold on for that.
But we have like 6 years before we get to that one.
Yeah.
Because next week, Stuart, what are we talking
about? Next week, we are talking about The Fisher King. Robin Williams' second collaboration with Terry Gilliam. We'll be joined by a very special guest for that episode. And one of Robin's last films that he will do during his like stint at New York before he fully rejoins the fray back in California, Los Angeles, Hollywood culture lore. Cole, as always, thank you so much for coming on.
Is that the first Oscar winner he's in, or does one of them already have an Oscar?
In terms of winner? Well, because Dead Poets wins best screenplay.
It does. Okay, so never mind then. Yeah, I was like, does Dead Poets win anything? Or did they did they come to their senses right before voting ended?
Right. Yeah, because Good Morning Vietnam only gets nominated for actor. And I don't think it doesn't get nominated for anything else, and it doesn't win, obviously. But the Dead Poets does win best screenplay. And Fisher King, that will be. Does Fisher King win anything? Well, I guess we'll find out next week.
Mercedes Rowe wins Best Supporting Actress.
Oh, yes, that's right. Next week when we talk about The Fisher King, starring Robin Williams, Jeff Bridges, directed by Terry Gilliam. Thank you all so much for listening. Cole, thank you very much as always for coming on and talking to us about
We'll see you
1991.
again
Kenneth Branaghs, Dead
We'll see you
Again.
again soon.
We'll see you again.
We'll see you again soon.
More.
We'll see you again
I'm
soon.
not on the
We'll see you again soon
schedule
for
for another
something.
year.
For something.
Oh no, you'll be on before then.
Okay.
I don't know what that's about.
We haven't. Cole
afraid.
has an open. I can force him to do anything.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
We have plans.
Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this episode, remember to rate, review, comment, like, and subscribe, whatever platform you're listening on. Remember, we are pretty much on whatever platform you get your podcast from. Spotify's our biggest one, but you can also do Apple Podcasts, sometimes YouTube, sometimes other stuff, Amazon Music. Special thanks to Rebecca for the graphic design and Michael Van Bodegum Smith for the theme music that's now taking you out. See you all next week for The Fisher King.
Hell yeah.
Oh, it's fine.
No,
it's
we're
fine.
recording
It's
again.
fine.
We're
Go,
recording. Go.
No, we've decided we don't want anyone to listen to our podcast, so it's fine. I just thought it's funny that
No,
you didn't
say
throw
it.
at me.
Say it.
No.
Say it.
No one's allowed to listen to my podcast. We
Everyone
have
should
too
listen
many
to
Everyone
above
should
the
listen
title.
to Above
A
the Title.
Saoirse Ronan podcast.
Yeah.
Available on
part of the Travolting Podcast Network.
part of the Travolting Podcast Network.
But yeah, please go and give Cole and Connor's podcast
A like and a subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
We did have to kick Stuart off an episode he was supposed to do.
That's right.
But he'll be back on at some
But
point.
I'll be back at some
Jeff's
point.
band.
I'm still looking. Are you on a Saoirse?
I'm on 2 Saoirses.
What's
No,
her-
we decided you're not going to do those because you made us watch the Penguin. No, Jeff will be on. Jeff's on
I did
too
make
soon.
you watch The Penguin, didn't I?
Very good.
Yeah.
I still need to watch The Penguin.
No, you don't.
Penguin.
No, you really fucking don't.
All right.
Wait, but actually, can I plug something real quick? Actually,
Yes, we're still
Yes.
recording.
all right, listeners. I need everyone listening to this show to do me a favor. I'm going to read Jeff Sweeney's real phone number, and I need you to text him and tell him to watch The Pit.
I'm gonna start
Okay.
watching it on Monday.
Oh, dude.
All right.
Let me
Come
just-
on,
I am
Jeff.
finally
Get,
finished.
So
get pit pilled.
Jeff's phone number is
Turn that shit off.
He's not actually reading your.
He is reading my number. That is actually my number.
Oh shit!
tell him
I'll
to
just.
watch
I'll
The
bleep.
Pit.
I'll.
Yeah.
All right. Jeff's phone number is 610 blah blah blah. All right.
All right.
Text
now
him,
we should
tell him
actually
what-
go.
All right. Bye everybody. Bye Cole. See you all next week.